You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. I'm Brian White. I'm one half of this morbid equation, and I'm joined by my co-host and actual brother, Dave. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Oh, thank you for asking. I am okay. I have been, in the last couple days, for reasons I won't get into, been having to validate a common law marriage. Now, that sounds like a weird intro, and it probably is, but I'm going to tell you, you don't think about this stuff a lot until someone says, hey, you've been in this relationship for a long time, prove it's real. And I, as someone who's not married, was like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Okay, so some definitions first. What is common law? I mean, I've heard this 1,000 times.
A common law is like, it's basically like everything but a formal like wedding ceremony certificate. Like if you want to be married, or you don't really want to get married, but like for everything else, for all intents and purposes, you are. Like you live with this person, you share responsibilities, like all that bullshit. Sometimes you have kids, sometimes you don't. I do not, obviously, but that's kind of the deal. It's like, it's a way of being like, hey, not everybody can get married, or not everybody wants to get married, or whatever. But like, it doesn't make it any less of a thing. And this is for like a legal thing. And so I'm just like, but without the marriage certificate, how else am I supposed to do it? And there actually are like, they're very vague about how to do this, but it's just like, you have to get people to write like, kind of like emotionally motivated letters about like how beautiful your love is and shit. I'm just like, that is somebody has
great. To shed blood on the third moon of the of the Sabbath.
But so my problem is like, hey, because one of the ways is like you could do pictures. Like if they're like, you can upload up to 20 photographs, and I was like, well, you're in luck. I have 4, and I have been in a relationship with this person for almost 8 years.
So is this a matter of the state just being like, come on, let's speed things up, let's make this real?
It does sort of seem at times to be like, wouldn't this just be a lot easier if you just got married? And I'm kind of like, in my head, I'm like, well, actually, yes, but no. So that's where I'm at.
All right, that's great. That's
my life.
That's great. Is this a weird way of announcing a marriage on our podcast?
No, that's the whole point, is I'm not getting married, at least that I know of, unless I'm strong-armed into it.
Oh, shit. Well, your love is real. It's beautiful. If you need me to write a glowing letter about the power of love to the state of Massachusetts, I'm more than happy.
Jesus, my God.
Oh shit! Well, that was unexpected. I never know what to think you're going to bring. What to think about what you're going to bring to this up top, but that one got me. It was truly a surprise. Oh, so we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores. A steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. There's no one else I enjoyed chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod, and Dave's over there at That Queer Wolf. Mm-hmm. I urge you to follow us. We got a lot of bot followers lately, and it is a nightmare. I'm out there like pruning the list and like trying to.
What I like about those, though, what I find humorous about them is, I'll look at like you gain a certain number of followers, and I'll look at them, and it's all like men in their, I'm gonna say 70s, early 70s.
Yeah,
and then I look at it, it's just like all the other, because you're like, well, let's see what this is all about. I'm guessing this is not real. And then it'll be like all the people they're following. And it's like Donald Trump, Padma Lakshmi, Heidi Klum. And I'm just like, what is this random assortment of people you've collected?
I know. It's like whenever we have Asher or Elena on, and we get this sudden surge of like morbid listeners. And it's always the weirdest people that you just don't expect, where it's like, Mom of 3, love my hubby, Christ follower. And it's like, ooh, you are in for a surprise, lady.
Yeah, you are going to be done with me in about 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And if you don't know, we have another show called 99 Cent Rental, where we cover all manner of video store madness on the weeks that Bring Me the Axes off. Our latest episode covering Mad Foxes brings us as close to the edge as we've ever gone. Holy shit. That movie was a lot of fun. I urge you to listen to it. That movie is nuts. That's out now. We'll be back next week to look at Abel Ferrara's King of New York. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling. You might get some Christopher Walken impressions.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And you can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love. We'd like to hear us. Give it the business. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there, patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. As a couple of tiers, you can join there. Subscribers to the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? We've also got our monthly Bring Me the X Millennium Edition, which is a bonus episode in which we explore a modern horror movie. Our current episode has us with our friends Johnny and Tyler from That's Spooky, looking at Tyler's favorite movie of all time, May. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good episode. We laugh a lot.
It's a rollicking conversation.
It's a real live, laugh, love kind of episode.
It is.
Yeah. And there's also my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield. On the weeks when Do You Think I'm Spooky is off, you can expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. I think next week we're queuing up another Dave episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see what's going on over there. Also, all Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels like voice and video chat, and the watch parties option. Watch movies with us on Friday night. We get ahead of Monday's episode by watching it on Friday night. What else you got going on Friday night?
Give us your money. Just give us money.
Shower us with validation and money.
It's that, or we have to go sell colloidal silver and supplements.
Yeah, and methylene blue and super male vitality. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxpod. Now, lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So do it.
Please do.
Costs you nothing. Helps us a lot. Yeah. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like and leave a comment because we do love hearing from you guys. You're a lot of fun. I just want to get that all right out of the way at the top of the show because, hey, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Who's this over here?
Well, we have a guest, but not just any guest. She's a very funny comedy writer and the co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, Ruined. It's Halle Kiefer.
Hey, Halle.
Hello, Halle.
Thank you so much for having me. And that's so kind. I really appreciate it. I'm just glad to meet other fellow, I'm going to say freaks, movie perverts. It's a real load off. It's really nice
You
to
get
be
to
here. I
talk
really
to
appreciate
somebody
it.
who's actually seen the movie
Oh my
this
God.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm going to say I love Allison, but at the end of the day, she, as we described, she is God's favorite etch-a-sketch. So even movies we've done, she doesn't remember. She should see a doctor, but instead we made a podcast about it. So this is really lovely. Thank you,
That's
Dylan.
great. Yeah, no, this is gonna be fun. Have you ever seen Rabid before?
I hadn't. No, I would consider myself a Cronenberg fan, but I had not seen this one. I mean, there's others I've seen. But interestingly, I'll be honest, I'm not feeling so well. But so I watched watched Rabid this morning in what I would describe as a sleepless fever dream state. And boy, it really hit harder. I would say if you could watch this while you have the flu, this really, because I think I was more squeamish than I think I normally would have been, even as someone who likes Cronenberg. I think I was like, no, in a much more visceral way. But no, had you guys seen it prior to this?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite David Cronenberg movies.
Oh, great.
David and I
reasons that I don't know.
We have sort of like different eras of Cronenberg. Our favorite, like,
oh yeah,
I am the most regular mid Cronenberg fan there is because my favorite stuff of his is in the 80s, and it's all the stuff that everybody knows: Exploding Heads, The Fly. Videodrome is like my favorite movie of his. Dave, however, prefers the 70s stuff.
I do, and I love it because what I think is most interesting, David Cronenberg is one of those few directors where you can see him evolve professionally and personally at the same time. And I think I love the 70s stuff because those are the movies that are so focused on like social issues. And that's generally just what I find that interesting in general. But like his approach to them is really interesting because he's always like kind of got it. He's almost there with regards to the right side of history.
He's got one foot in the world of introspection. Like he's trying to work something very personal out on film. We have done so far The Brood, which is a super, super angry breakup movie.
And that is my favorite movie of his.
And that was the one where we come out the end where it's like, oh shit, he's almost got this figured out. He almost understands his role in all of this. And then the other movie we've done is Crash, which is,
just
Crash.
But he's always just sort of on the cusp. He's always like, women should be treated equally. But honestly, how equally?
Yeah, it is interesting because I do think of him as, did you guys see The Shrouds?
Oh yeah, we just recently watched The Shrouds.
Yeah, I feel like he is someone. I honestly, watching this movie, it was shades of Jonathan Glazer's Under the Skin to me, where it's like I agree, like he's not depicting a woman's perspective, but it's not malicious in a way that I think a lot of people like the idea of like the sex crazed woman. It's not coming necessarily from a place of like condemnation, but I agree, like befuddlement, and I feel like Shroud's like. But I guess that's what I like most about him. I honestly think after Videodrome, my favorite movie of his was Crimes of the Future. I haven't seen the original, like the earlier one with the same title, but the one that came out in 2022, I believe. And I think it's because like these later movies are more unfinished, more dreamlike. That you're experiencing something that is unfinished that he's just making in real time. Yeah. And so I guess to me, it's like even when the movie doesn't hit and maybe he's not laying the plane, it's satisfying because there are so movies that are not personal. Like so many horror movies where like there's no personal in it. Yeah. They're not trying to do that. And it's like, I'd rather be too personal. Almost like people didn't like Ari Aster's, oh my God, what was the one he did after Hereditary? Not Midsommar, but
Beau is Afraid.
But people didn't like Beau is Afraid. I'm like, no, I'm glad I saw it. I'll never watch it again. But I'd rather something that's like messy and unformed, but personal than something that's really slick and like emotionless. So I guess that's my approach to him is like, okay, I'm getting something out of this, even if maybe you weren't getting everything out of it. Yeah.
Which is interesting because his movies, whenever people talk about David Cronenberg movies, no matter what era it is, the words that are almost invariably used are sterile and clinical is the other word, which I don't really feel that at all.
I agree. It's like, I guess it's sort of, the idea of trying to analyze these messier things through like a system. Like there's always a doctor trying to diagnose what's happening.
A shady institute.
Yep. He loves an institute.
Loves an institute, but also it always blows up in everyone's face. Like I feel like this attempt at authority or attempt at some sort of like control always devolves. So again, I also appreciate it's like that sure seems like the world we're living in. So I appreciate him adding that part too.
Yeah. And he seems like he genuinely wants to understand. Like he may not quite get there or he might kind of stumble into it, but like he seems like everything's a good faith effort at whatever it is. Like he may not get when he made The Brood, he might not have understood like divorces and ends of a relationship. That requires two people. And maybe he wasn't always in the right, but he didn't quite get that. But he did sort of seem to understand that divorces in general and the end of relationships in general do not typically go in the woman's favor. And so like he's always there. Even this movie, I think he doesn't quite seem to get. He understands. I have a very particular way of understanding this movie, but like he gets that feminism is sort of a big thing now and it's sort of making great strides. But he doesn't really quite understand why that's important, but he does know that it's important.
Yeah. We're seeing his understanding of a woman, but not necessarily anything beyond that. But that understanding, like you said, is a good faith understanding in a lot of ways, but he's not sort of peering behind the veil like, what if this woman had a backstory or, anything like that to sort of flesh out the character, which would be a different movie that I guess probably wouldn't feel like a Cronenberg movie either.
Yeah.
He also apparently has a tendency, and I did not know this about him. He has a tendency to like really when he edits, he just like strips everything down to the bone and cuts out everything he thinks is extraneous or it just does not serve the plot in any particular way. And I think before he got a little more adept at that, he may have been cutting away too much because there are huge chunks of the story that go missing, at least in this movie. I think in Shivers too. But like there are parts where I'm like, hey, wait, why do I feel like we should have had an explanation for some of this by now?
Yeah. Before we get too far afield, let's hit him. Let's hit him with the goods. Let's show him what we're talking about here. Here's a trailer.
All around her, people are dying, and only Rose knows why.
You gotta come quick. You gotta come quick and get me.
It's Rose. It's gotta be. Something's happened to Rose.
Health officials have said they consider the outbreak of the new strain of rabies as being potentially the worst of this century.
Don't scream. Don't panic. He's dead. And the dead can't hurt the living. Rabid.
The Prime Minister was reluctant to officially declare a state of emergency, but as any citizen in the streets can tell you, martial law has come to Montreal.
Over that way, please. Get that guy. I'm sorry, sir. You can't go right. I'm sorry, sir. Don't have a car now, please.
Shooting down the victims is as good a way of handling them as we have got.
Stop! Stop or I'll shoot! You can't trust your mother. Your best friend. The neighbor next door. 1 minute, they're perfectly normal. The next, rabid. Pray it doesn't happen to you. Rabid.
Oh, that is a terrible trailer.
You think? I think it's a perfectly tantalizing trailer. Gives you a good idea what you're about to get into. Because man, this movie is a mixed bag.
Yeah,
I will say when and we'll obviously talk about it when we go through the movie. When we see Santa gunned down, it was so unexpected in a Cronenberg movie. Like, all right,
I was a little bummed that they showed that in the trailer because when it happens in the
so
movie,
shocking,
I
yeah.
laugh out loud every single time.
Yeah.
why is he shooting Santa Claus?
You just got to.
It's collateral damage.
Also, that this is a Christmas movie, and I realized I should have looked up if any of his other movies are a Christmas movie, because it is just by, it's not like overtly, but they're definitely like, you see Christmas decorations. We end up at the mall at one point. And I love a Christmas horror movie. I like when it's Christmas for no reason. Like, it has nothing to do with the plot. I thought it was
It's
great.
like a Shane Black movie.
I think The Brood takes place around Christmas.
His production cycle almost invariably takes place during a Canadian winter.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, hey, may as well throw a little Santa Claus in there. And while you're at it, why not shoot him?
Gun him down.
Just give him the both barrels. Oh boy. Yeah. So our movie tonight is Rabid. It is a movie from the year 1977, year of our Lord. So here were some other movies that were released that year. The Sentinel came out in 1977.
Big Christian scare film,
which we did very early on in this podcast. That's a movie that I enjoy quite a bit. Also in 77, Orca, the Killer Whale.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I love that movie.
Watched it the other night. I was delighted from start to finish. Also, one of the best posters in all of Animal Attack movies. It is a massive orca crashing through a boat. It is so kinetic. It is amazing. I love it. Also, go ahead.
I was like, oh yeah, I feel like considering all the orcas that were attacking those yachts, you'd think we'd be getting more animal. I feel like it's time for Animal Attack movies to cycle back through, and I'm ready.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Because as soon as I put it on, I was like, and it started attacking boats. I was like, yes, sink them.
I am a huge fan of Animal Attack movies. I welcome. I will watch the worst of the worst. Just because I want to see like a stingray kill somebody.
Or tentacles.
I do love tentacles.
So also in 77, The Hills Have Eyes came out that year. Yeah. I like that one. I like that one quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
You know?
We've been we're doing a vacation month in July, and let me just say, don't go anywhere. Don't go into the wilderness. And I think the main takeaway is if you walk into what seems to be an abandoned cabin and you find a bunch of cameras and a bunch of like tents, you got to get out of there. Everyone's like, what? Why are there dozens of kayaking equipment? It's like, because someone's going to kill you.
Why do you have 17 driver's licenses? Who are these people?
It's a big family.
Okay.
Yep. Also in 1977, Exorcist 2, The Heretic came out that year.
Oh God.
I've never seen it. I really should. I've started it multiple times and I'm like, I just don't have it right now.
It's bad.
It is a truly a trial and tribulation to get to the end of that movie. What a nightmare that picture is. And rounding out 1977, Kathy's Curse.
Oh, I watched that recently.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I think it was a TV movie about a.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think it's a TV movie. I think it was a theatrical release.
Oh shit! I was
it's about
always
a
under the
killer
impression.
doll.
Yeah, I was always under the impression that it was a TV movie. But yeah, killer doll.
Wonderful.
Yep. And I believe the box had blinking lights.
The latest release has the original one might have too, but the latest release has a light up eyes for Kathy.
Yeah. So cast and crew, we got our director, as we've mentioned, in Extreme. We got David Cronenberg, who we last saw on this podcast, freaking everybody out with his cars and sex movie Crash. Here we're closer to The Brood, which we've also covered, so go back and listen to that one. We are back in proto-Cronenberg mode as he's finding his feet as an independent filmmaker in Toronto. Still very much figuring out how to stretch a dollar here, and I feel like he doesn't really hit his stride until his next feature, The Brood. But you can see glimmers of where we're going with this prominently on display. Signature body horror and obsession with shadowy clinics and institutes are crystallizing.
Now, what's interesting, though, about this one with regard to that, because the clinic and the institute thing, that's like a running thing for him. But in this one, the clinic isn't a nefarious. It's just for
some reason, when I put this on the other night when we watched it in the Discord, I always remember the Keloid Institute being like in The Brood or being like the organization in Scanners. But no, it's just a place where you go get some plastic surgery done.
I also feel like we're there. We're not getting that plastic surgery, but there is that institute, and rich people are getting that level of we don't know, but if you're willing to spend enough money, we'll absolutely do whatever you want.
Like the guy who comes in and he's just like, I'm getting my ears tucked again, or whatever the fuck he says.
It's an eye tuck. And he goes, oh yeah, looks good. And I'm like, does it? Does it though?
Yeah, there's like a casualness about how they're all just like, having this thing replaced today too.
Yeah, I gotta wonder where that comes from, because it's so specific to David Cronenberg, but also it was a thing in the 70s where all of these they were all privately funded, and some of them had really sort of strange backgrounds, I believe it was either the 60s or the 70s when the Esalen Institute.
That's the 70s.
Yeah, popped up, and that was a thing. It was a thing that sort of.
Yeah, well, you get all those, I don't know if this was the case in Canada. I mean, Canada's not that different, but in the US, you get this convergence of New Age belief systems, anti-authoritarian, anti-authority attitudes, and weird advances in science and technology, and they're all they're coming together in this strange, almost shadowy way, but you also have the weird paranoia about that kind of post-Vietnam or mid-Vietnam, post-Vietnam paranoia about the government as well. And so all this stuff is kind of feeding in, and it's you never know who's telling the truth, and you just assume that there's some shady shit going on somewhere. So it's of course rich people are eating placentas in the basement of Comet Pizza or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
It just makes sense because you're all this new stuff is happening. I don't know what to make of it, but it seems really scientific and medical in a way that is not good.
Yeah. Well, here's for instance, major donor to the Esalen Institute in the 1990s, Jeffrey Epstein.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Class act.
I'm off work visiting family, so I'm trying not to read everything, but I can't help it. It's
no, there's nothing there. There's no story there. There's no list. There's no client list.
Well, the thing that's so crazy is Jeffrey Epstein, that last time he was arrested was in 2019 when Trump was president. So I'm whatever the documents from that is, you were there. It should be in a file folder. All the we're gonna release it. There isn't. It's you were there. That was your Department of Justice.
Yeah, you have this on your phone somewhere. Just look at your pics. Come on.
Just call him wherever he is. You've obviously, put a corpse in there and pretended he died.
I don't know why we all keep going on and on about it, where it's we know who's involved.
Why are you all so obsessed with this? There's no list. Take my word for it.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
He's why is everyone talking about it? You ran on this. What do you mean?
Your entire party hinges on this whole thing.
Oh,
Dave, sort of what you just said about the government and sort of medical advancement and sort of the conspiracy. I think the element that also comes up in The Brood that sort of I think is why Brood is more successful film is sort of the spirituality, which we are also seeing with regards to RFK Jr. Heading up the HHS, and it's people being great, finally we'll get rid of vaccines and I'll be able to use the medicine that I believe in which is injecting bleach.
Yeah.
Like it's so because they approach it like a spirituality. So it's like, I believe in bleach. I don't believe in vaccines. Ergo, we have to do this. It's like, well, that can't be good.
Yeah.
That can't be that we're now in that level of like, okay, now we're really going for it.
Yeah, there's always that question. It's always about authenticity, about like, well, you know, the big agencies, the big organizations and the big companies, they all tell me that this is the right thing to do. And it's like, hey, buddy, if everybody else is on the same page about something, there's probably a reason for it. But you go your own way because you feel like that's more authentic. And it's like, yeah, but that's calling autistic people monsters and telling people to like shine ultraviolet light into their eyes all day. Like,
yeah, it is hard. Like I feel like it's like autistic people are the same, like fall in the same category right now as trans people, where it's like they can mean anything, they can be anything except for individuals with like their own opinion about their medical treatment at all. And it's, I don't know. I don't have anything more to say than that, but it's like, it's crazy how much we've leaned into like, well, these are both victims and also we're allowed to inject them with bleach, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess there was a good reason why Cronenberg was Cronenberg and fucking everybody else was paranoid. It's like, there was this idea, because all of this stuff sort of bumps up against eugenics a lot as well.
The sort of shadow of fascism kind of looms large over a lot of this. There's none of it in this movie. He completely goes past it in this, but there's also quite a bit of this in the fiction of J.G. Ballard, who he is a big fan of as well. I'm also a big fan of Ballard.
J.G. Ballard's stuff is aggressive a lot of the time. It's very aggressive.
To put it mildly, yes. Yeah. I like Ballard quite a bit, and I understand whenever I see like glimmers of it in Cronenberg's work, I was like, I see you, dog. I see you. Yeah. So our cast includes Marilyn Chambers, who is famous for being the lady on the ivory snowbox.
There you go. Hey.
I had to do
I'm going
it.
to tell you what,
resist.
I'm going to jump in though, because you know, I think Marilyn Chambers actually is pretty good in this.
I think she's pretty good
I
as well.
agree.
I got notes for why we did not see her in future Hollywood productions. It mostly had to do with the Hollywood studios just being gigantic wimps.
Well, and then there's another factor. It rhymes with Christianity.
Yeah.
But for those people who do not know, Marilyn Chambers was in adult films in the 70s, sort of the golden age, the porno chic era when things like porn was just coming into the theaters.
The 1970s, when you could pop down to see her in Behind the Green Door, which I nearly said Beyond the Green Door.
See, earlier today I said every time I went to write Behind the Green Door, I would almost write Beyond the Door.
Yeah, but you are seeing this in the same theater that you're also seeing Star Wars in.
Yeah. So like she's in that. She does a lot of adult films for a while, and then she decides she wants to make other movies. And you know what? Like I have a different opinion of pornography than I realize a lot of people do, but every review of this, every article she gets referred to, even the fucking Wikipedia article refers to her as like porn queen. I think even the Shudder description on current day Shudder is like porn queen, you know, Marilyn Chambers. And look, I get it. That is what she is well known for. But like, why are you calling that out other than to be sensational? And I bring it up because this is a movie that I think has a great deal to do with feminism and with women's empowerment, especially around sex. And so to be like, oh, but you know her, the porn queen, like she's never done anything else in her life.
I mean, she was cast in this movie, and nobody has ever gone on the record to say it, but her presence in this movie is 100% stunt casting.
Oh, David Cronenberg has said that very clearly.
Yeah.
But also, didn't he originally want Sissy Spacek?
He did. He wanted
that.
Sissy Spacek because
I think that'd be a good movie, but a very different one.
Yes. He wanted her because he saw her in Badlands and he really loved her in that. And I guess the guy, John Dunning, who was the producer, was like, because she has a lot of freckles. She's a very particular look. And he was like, I don't like the way she looks. And that accent is way too Southern. So no is the answer. So Ivan Reitman was like, I had another idea. Why don't we cast Marilyn Chambers? He had heard that she was looking to do like a mainstream film. And he was thinking, if I can cast her in this, because he was thinking ahead to Cannes, and he was like, I've got to sell this to everybody. I can't sell Sissy Spacek because they hadn't made Carrie yet.
Right.
And so he's like, I can't sell that, but I can sell Marilyn Chambers because everybody from fucking France to Dubai knows who Marilyn Chambers is.
Oh yeah. It's everybody was talking about that, about porn back then. It was, it was just a part of the national conversation because it was this and there was a Devil and Miss Jones and like Deep Throat and that sort of thing. And so like, it was just kind of on the mind. You could go to your local neighborhood movies, movie theater and see this stuff. What is it? Behind the Green Door comes out in 73 or 74.
It's after Deep Throat. It's the same director.
And
72.
Okay.
Oh, apparently also the first feature-length American heterosexual hardcore to include an interracial sex scene.
Yep. At the end.
It's like, well, we're not going to see that in a David Cronenberg movie, but
and then after that, I don't believe she really does anything. But as
she's in a couple more lesser celebrated porn. The porno chic era was very short, and she's in sort of like some lesser known ones. And then she tries to do a bunch of this. She does some softcore stuff, some stuff that's a little bit like kind of on the line, like Angel and stuff like that. She's not an Angel, but like those types of movies.
Yeah.
And then she is a born again Christian.
At the same time that she's doing that, she is being sort of passed around Hollywood by like producers and actors who are like, let's get her in and do screen tests and stuff like that. And the studios were like, absolutely fucking not.
Which is a shame. She's pretty good.
Only Cronenberg and Ivan Ghostbusters Reitman had the stones to cast her. Even though it was just a publicity stunt, I feel like it really kind of works out in their
absolutely.
advantage.
I agree. And again, I haven't read anything about what Jonathan Glazer, if he references all, but even like down to her fur coat, it made me think of Under the Skin.
Yeah.
Like throughout this film. I think she really pulls it off.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts about the fur coat specifically and like the scenes that she's wearing in it. But so Cronenberg said that he had never seen Behind the Green Door. He didn't really know who she was. Like he'd heard the name obviously, but he didn't really know who she was. And he's like, I guess personally, he was like, I didn't really understand her personality and like where she was coming from, like as a person. Like that was very foreign to him. He said that she was a lot harder than he expected her to be. And he was a little disappointed. He wanted someone a little softer for this role. But like he meant hard as in like a hardened person.
Yeah.
And he tells this story about how like her and her husband, who was also her manager, he was like, they're the kinds of people that were like trading gold-plated pistols with Sammy Davis Jr. And I was like, I don't know what that is all about, but I think you just explained the entire thing to me in that one sentence. And so to him, he was like, this is it's very Boogie Nights, kind of like big money. Everybody's going to Vegas and shit like that. And so he was like, I don't really get that. I'm Canadian. We don't do that. But he was like, but she's extremely hardworking. She does a really good job. And I respected the shit out of her the whole time she was here. She was very easy to work with. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? He seems like a hell of a guy.
Right. So after this movie comes out, there's more wimp outs from Hollywood producers. She produces a disco single that is heard in this very movie. And then she goes back to porn kind of until the mid 80s. And then unfortunately fell in with the Mitchell brothers who produced and directed Behind the Green Door and ended up in their notoriously interactive sex shows in New York. Chambers died in 2009 of a cerebral hemorrhage related to heart disease. She was 56.
That is very sad.
Yeah.
And then we've got Frank Moore, who plays Hart, the motorcycle riding love interest. I kept thinking as I watched this, where the hell have I seen this guy before? And it turns out that the answer is nowhere, which is amazing considering the sheer number of credits his resume carries.
He's a little bit what you might call a one-note actor. He has a level of intensity, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And I think also, and we'll obviously talk about this as we go through the movie, that is, at least in this movie, by design, where it's just like he is hapless. Like he is trying to do one thing, and he does succeed eventually, but it's like someone who is watching this catastrophe and we're just watching. I think that worked for me as well.
Yeah,
like
he's a bit of a surrogate, audience surrogate.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite things about this movie is that at a certain point, this movie becomes a buddy film with him and Joe Silver's Murray character.
Inexplicably, like you
for no reason, and
you
I
never
love
get
it.
explained.
Yeah,
why are these two friends?
I think that and there's also, it kind of gives you the experience, the idea that they've been driving around just on one night. But when you think about it, like, no, this actually takes place across a kind of an extended amount of time.
It's
meaning
days.
These guys have been hanging out a lot and they're bros now. And I love that.
It is kind of nice. It's very strange though, because it's like all of a sudden they seem to have a very close relationship for no particular reason that never gets explained. It's like maybe they just hung out a bunch in the waiting room and, you know, nothing else to do but hang out.
Oh, they were stuck in quarantine in that police station for a really long time. They just bonded. They just realized they got a lot in common. Yeah. Before and after Rabid, he kept up a career as what appears to be the busiest bit part actor in Canada. He appears in small roles in American productions shot in Canada as well, most recently playing Judge Edward Nair, who was the judge presiding over the discrimination suit against Donald Trump and his loathsome father in The Apprentice in the 1970s, when they actively discriminated against black people looking to rent in their buildings. Because again, and I cannot stress this enough, Donald Trump and his entire rotten family of hooting swine are horrific racists who at the very least should be pilloried in Times Square and have their fortunes stripped of them.
Yes. Salt the earth.
Your lips to God's ears.
Leave no trace.
Nope.
Nope. And rounding out our cast, we got Joe Silver, who I just mentioned. He's a New York character actor of some tenure. He appears in several episodes of Sesame Street as Arnold Hooper, brother to the friendly neighborhood shopkeeper, Mr. Hooper.
That's so sweet.
He's also in Clute. He's the, I believe he's the object of the blackmail in Clute.
Yep. He's also also the creep in Creep Show 2.
Yeah.
Or he's the voice of it. Tom Savini plays the actual creep character. And in spite of his role in this movie, I have a really, really hard time believing that this man is the father of an infant.
Well, I was going to say, I knew we were going to bring it up. It's like, girl, come on. Like, I was like, why? Like, this late in the game. I mean, like, this must have been an accident. I don't know how this happened.
I got to the end and I was like, oh, no, that is a grandchild.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what it was like. Oh, my grandchild, who was obviously going to, it's like, horrible's going to happen. It's like, no, my infant child. Yeah. Even though I'm 60 years old.
At best.
No, this is 1977. That is a 1977, like 35.
Yeah, he's 42.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so we got a couple of taglines, and get comfortable because these ones that be long.
Yeah, yeah.
So here we go. We got, you can't trust your mother, your best friend, your neighbor next door. 1 minute they're perfectly normal. The next, rabid. Pray it doesn't happen to you.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good.
Excellent.
Tantalizing. Here's the next one. I love this one. Lock your doors. Roll up your windows. The most ancient of fears clutch at your heart in Rabid. Is the terror only on the screen?
Why are they so long?
I don't know. Because they're exploitation movie posters.
That's true.
Brian, I'm sure you've heard this before, but you have the voice for it.
Thank
I feel like you can make anything into a slogan.
Thank you. Listen. I'm for hire right now. Hollywood, bring me in. Let me do your trailers. So, in 1975, David Cronenberg produces Shivers on a sub $200,000 budget, funded in part by the Canadian Film Development Corporation.
Almost entirely. Funded almost entirely by them.
Incredible.
Yeah, which we have discussed at length in episodes past dealing with Canadian movies. Peanut Butter Solution, The Christmas Martian. We really kind of go into that. I encourage you to listen to those.
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine. We do quite a bit on that. But it is a very rich Canadian tradition. I encourage you to look it up.
And this is like a federally funded?
Yeah,
like
it is.
Grants and
stuff. It is their movie arts grant that was built by that essentially created an entire film industry where there wasn't one before.
Mm-hmm. Why can't we do that kind of stuff?
I know.
I mean, I know. I went to Outfest in LA. This was also in 2022, and there was I can't remember the name of it, but somebody was talking about making their South Korean queer film, and there's a Q&A, and someone's like, "Well, how did you get funding?" And the woman had to be like, I'm so sorry. Our government provides like arts grants. Like we care about art in other countries. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's like when you talk to anyone in Europe and they're like, I'm sorry, what is a student loan? I don't understand. What is that concept?
I know. Well, get comfortable because it turns out there's a reactionary force in Canada that was just outraged that they were paying for David Cronenberg to make movies.
It was driven by almost by one person entirely.
Yeah. So here it is. So, the thing with Shivers is that movie is, produced on federal funding from the Canadian government, and it is characteristically Cronenberg and seriously horny. So upon its release, film critic Robert Fulford publishes an editorial in the magazine Saturday Night in 1976 under a fucking pseudonym. And the article was called, "You Ought to Know How Bad This Film Is Because You Paid for It."
Yeah.
It is a pearl-clutching piece of moral panic, questioning the state's involvement in film funding, and because of Cronenberg's super horny, super violent debut. Joke was on him, though, because Shivers turned over $5 million Canadian, returning its investment to the CFDC several times over and ultimately costing the public nothing.
Yeah,
Also,
Robert Fulford's position was basically that if these are the movies we're going to fund, then maybe we just shouldn't have a film industry. Like, why don't you just take the ball and go home then, Fulford?
Yeah. Also, the CFDC had put around $200,000 towards the production of Rabid already, so suck it, Fulford.
Well, they did it in a very interesting way because they were funding a movie called Convoy,
Right.
And which it didn't end up getting made. So what they did was they funneled money into Convoy and then funneled that money like a pass through back out to Rabid.
It's like Canon made it.
Yeah, it was like nobody would know. You could be like, what are you talking about? We never gave David Cronenberg directly gave him money for this, but they did. They gave him almost half the budget of like $200 and something thousand.
Yeah.
But they just ran it through another movie so that people couldn't really pick up on it, which is like, I don't know what that says about the Canadian Film Foundation. Like, is it just like you genuinely believe in this guy's talent, or because you can't then take it out and use it as like a promotional thing. Like, look how successful this program is. I mean, you could if you had any fucking integrity, but you don't, I guess. So it's like, why bother at all? It's not like they're getting money back.
Yeah. Right.
That's I'd like to believe that somebody there's like, I think we got to make this guy's films. Yeah. There's something there. We all this like,
well, he did. Cronenberg tells a lot of interesting. He's a very interesting person. He is on one hand very kind of self-deprecating, but on the other hand very confident in him. Not so much. It's not ego. It's more like, I just fully believe in what I'm doing, and I think that this is interesting and good, and I want to keep doing it. Like, that's kind of his position, which I find very admirable. And so he said that what happened was after this, and I think you can feel this in this movie, that he says he lost a lot of confidence in himself after Shivers, because he was like, I don't know, I thought Shivers was a pretty good movie. I think this story for Rabid is a pretty interesting story. And he felt like this could be good, but then he keeps getting shit on by this one guy who's kind of like driving, making it seem as though there's this huge backlash, and there really wasn't.
Okay, so check this out. Here's a contributing factor to why he felt that way. The article, though not widely read, Saturday Night, it turns out, was just a very, very small circulation.
Yeah, it's like Boston Phoenix.
It's really, really small. Like, hardly anybody read it. However, it was read by the right people, and the CFDC refused future requests for funding just for Cronenberg movies.
Oh.
Worse still, word got out that Marilyn Chambers would be starring in Rabid, and Cronenberg's landlady became aware of this and the Saturday Night article and turned Dave and his wife out on a morality clause that she wouldn't house pornographers, so they lost their home over it.
Oh
and
my
look,
God.
were it not for her, maybe David Cronenberg and his first wife would still be married. Just saying.
Wow.
Yep.
What ends up happening though after all of that, that's crazy, all that crazy stuff, he starts to kind of question himself, but apparently it was like John Dunning and the guys at Cinepix, which were like, no, we love your movies. They're like, horror has always been a kind of a box office guarantee to a certain extent. And so they were like, we think you're doing really interesting, original stuff. And he was like, all right, well, these dudes seem to think I'm doing something cool. So like, that was kind of enough to get him going. But I think you do see in this movie that kind of wavering confidence where like the story starts to kind of meander a little bit and it gets really unfocused. And I think it was because he was like,
he's doing a little too much in this one.
And he also has admitted that he had said that when they did Shivers, they shot pretty much the whole thing just it's not a bottle movie, but it takes place in a building. So it's like, he didn't have to do much. This movie takes place all over the place. And he was like, I had no idea how to shoot outside. I had no idea how to shoot in the country versus in the city. And he was like, I was way over my head. But he made it work, I think.
He made it work. He figured it out. Lucky for Cronenberg, something remarkable happened in Canada in 1975. The nation instituted a 100% tax write-off for film investment, which is just as crazy as it sounds. And millions of dollars flowed into the country because of it. Reitman, Cronenberg, and Cinepix had no problems securing funds for this movie and basically everything that he did after this.
Incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the sort of road to production for Rabid. This movie, unfortunately, was remade in 2019 by that stupid goddamn Soska sisters. Large.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know there was a 2019.
Yeah, largely ignored by basically anybody who is not a fan of them. I don't want to know those people. Met with a critical shrug of the shoulders by basically everybody who reviewed it.
Well, because this is a movie that is so much of its time that I don't know how you can take this and put it in another era without changing the story completely.
Yeah.
Because my take on this film is very much, personally, I had never seen this as a vampire movie. Like, I never viewed it that way. It never occurred to me that it was possibly that. I always kind of got zombie-ish.
It's a little zombie. It's a little column A, little column B.
Yeah, it feels very heavily influenced at certain times by Night of the Living Dead. But so I always look at it like it's kind of a continuation of his evolution on sort of social issues. Like, I think Shivers is really about sexual liberation. It's about the sort of explosion of free love and kind of how that can sometimes spin out of control. And I think obviously The Brood is about his own relationship with his wife and kind of more broadly about the power disparity between men and women. But I think this one is really about this is kind of his rumination on the 70s and on this kind of new, the idea of like a new 70s woman, a modern woman who is confident and independent and self-assured, and what that means for the world. Like, what is, like, how people are responding to her? What are the implications of this new woman?
It makes everybody go crazy and bite one another.
Well, I do think there is something to be said for the fact that there are people very, very few people who recognize that there is a difference now, that something has changed. And those people, while they may not be able to get out of Rose's way, they do try. And then there's everybody else who just chooses to either ignore it or doesn't realize that something has changed either in this woman or in the circumstances that they're in. And when they don't, it is always to their detriment that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
She is, like, Rose is, and this is why it's hard to think that Marilyn Chambers was not an intentional choice and that she was not the best person for the role, because Rose as a character is maybe not sexually aggressive. Well, she is kind of sexually aggressive. She is very much in control of her sexuality. And so, this, I think when it comes to men and men's fears, whether it's the 70s or now for that matter, like this idea that here is this woman, this sort of sexually aggressive, sexually assertive woman who has an armpit proboscis, I guess.
An armpit dick, we could say.
that puts her in this position of being the aggressor in the situation and the one who is capable of penetrating. And in that way, she is sort of like the nightmare of all men's rights groups. Like that puts them then in this position of being where the position of the woman, the submissive position. And I think in The Brood, he comes to a very, let's call it a soft conclusion. I don't know that he does get very far in this with his sort of thoughts on feminism, but I do think it's really interesting to kind of look at it through that lens of, like, this is a story about a world that is trying to reckon with new gender roles and what all of this means. What are the implications of these changes in the identity of women and the identity of men and women together, and what all of that means. And I don't know that he gets far, but I think it's really interesting that someone was trying to do it in a way that wasn't just misogynistic.
Yeah, and I think we said earlier that what's the name of the male protagonist?
That is Hart.
Hart. So I think, like, Hart is us as the audience, but I think Hart is also Cronenberg, because basically he just stands and watches as his own personal life and then all of the systems around him start to collapse. And obviously we'll talk about it. I think some of his movies that maybe don't land the plane, it is reflecting his own bafflement or like his own loss of control in a way that to me worked at the end, but only in as much as that both he and Rose are out of control. Like the illusion of individual control is completely gone. And yeah, to your point, the idea of gender roles being destabilized, but that also like Rose is not necessarily choosing that either. That neither of them are choosing the situation, but that they are part of it. And we'll talk about straightness at the end, because I feel like watching this, I'm like, yes, this is the idea of straightness as this inescapable biological fact, which like as a queer person, I'm like, no, you guys, there's a difference between straightness and heterosexuality. Like, it's like they're, sort of we've moved past the idea that like, sir, everything will be collapsing. It's like, well, everything is collapsing, but only because everything is a fiction. You know what I mean? So it's like these things are collapsing, and for the better.
And there are I think there are very few people in this who are willing to look at the situation and go, okay, we need to somehow adapt, or we need to approach this in a different way. Whereas everyone else is either unwilling to acknowledge anything or willfully ignoring. Like, I think Rose is the one who is willfully ignoring everything that's happening because of what it means about who she is now. And somebody like Hart doesn't want his world to change, but so he just sort of pretends that it's not. And then, like their inability to adapt and to sort of change to what's happening and confront what's happening is really what causes everything to spin out of control to the point that it just collapses completely for everybody. So,
yeah. So, Dave.
Yes.
What did the press think of this movie?
Well, it will come as a very big surprise to you. Most people hated this movie. I've got a few that I don't know that this got wide release in the U.S. initially. I know it did get released in the U.S., but I don't think most people.
This was one that I definitely remember from the video, like the trips to the video store, because the box for this one was lurid. That girl in the freezer image is
that is dark,
nasty. And boy, that stuck with me when I was 9 years old.
Well, here we go. Bruce McCabe, Boston Globe, my paper of record. Rabid is a depraved film, one that no adult with any kind of sensitivity should be caught dead at. Chambers is the attraction, of course, and I will concede the appealing way she photographs. What a bizarre thing to say about a person.
This fucking guy.
Besides the obligatory number of bloodlettings, there are sequences of retching and of pus coming out of people's eyes and mouths. There are scenes of panic and of rabid victims being shot down in the streets the way dogs presumably are.
Yeah, sign me up.
He's clutching. I mean, that to me, guy, I'm like, well,
Gene Siskel, eat your heart out.
There, unfortunately, I could not find a review from Gene Genie, but
all I can assume is that he was mortified.
He left within the first 5 minutes.
No stars.
So here we have Martin Molina, Montreal star. Cronenberg has bit off more than he can chew, if you'll pardon the expression.
Jesus.
I mean, kind of true, but
Yeah. We might be prepared to go along with the logic of a girl on blood plasma developing an unnatural taste for the stuff, but the sucking proboscis, sick, that Cronenberg has had his special effects people implant in Miss Chambers' armpit is an invention of the same rank as Linda Lovelace's misplaced clitoris. It provokes more snickers than shivers. I got a couple things to say about this. First of all, fuck this guy. But second of all, in the 70s, people were really resistant to grammar. Not a lot of commas. These are like one sentence. God. All right. Clyde Gilmour, Toronto star. Rabid was written and directed by David Cronenberg, who earlier did Shivers. The producer was John Dunning. The current fruit of their labors, I'm told, is doing well at the box office and doing well at drive-ins. I'm not sure just what this proves, except possibly that Canadians, when they really try, can make nauseating movies as efficiently as Americans.
Oh, he landed it. He did it. Spiked it in the end zone.
And they think they're being real sassy about this. And finally, Frank Daly, Ottawa Journal. Many people have jumped on Reitman and Cronenberg for their pandering, tasteless films, and there's no doubt you can make a good case against them, but aside from the personal agony they may suffer regarding the good work they could do but don't, and aside from the fact that critics may judge their activities to be unworthy of comment most of the time, as it is, there is another point to be considered, and that is the matter of survival. The film doesn't make any sense whatsoever, of course, but that hardly matters to the people who get off on this sort of thing.
Oh, shit.
In fact, it's pretty terrible, but other filmmakers in Canada can learn something from Reitman, how to make a buck.
Yeah, this guy goes on to 1984 to make one of the biggest movies of the 80s. So Jesus Christ.
Also, as the people that he's pandering to, or they're pandering to, bring it on. I was like, I'd love to, like the pandering to, like, I guess us as the audience.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, bring it on. Pander directly to me, please. I am begging you.
Absolutely.
Also, I think he uses "of course" like 6 times in that review.
It's almost like he's so put out that he had to review this movie in the first
Sir,
place.
you're abusing your "of course" privileges. Well, so they didn't like it. The critics didn't like it. So I couldn't actually find any that did. I did find this great. So the movie was very successful. I think for a while was the biggest grossing Canadian film.
Incredible.
But I found this great quote from David Cronenberg before we get into it, that him referring to like his fear about making a movie that was a little bit more traditional horror. He said, when you do horror, you're always walking that line because it's always on the verge of being ridiculous. And I was like, you know what? He is 100% right, because this movie, it very often could have spilled over into silly, and it occasionally gets pretty close, but
yeah. So shall we?
Let's do it.
we must.
Let's go. Here we go. We open on a sexy leather couple hopping on a motorcycle for a ride in the country.
Listen, I out of the gate want to talk about this shot of her. She is this gorgeous woman in this black leather biker outfit set against this bleak, drab rural landscape.
It is Cronenberg's Wicked
stunning
all the way.
Stunning shot.
Yeah. It's a beautiful young woman and her boyfriend who's sporting a smoky eye that would make Sarah Huckabee Sanders jealous.
Wait, the boyfriend or the
Yeah.
I also,
His eye makeup is outrageous.
I think also like immediately it's like, this is like a straight dream. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like as someone who came out later, I still think of like heterosexual couples as sort of like, I like to see them. I want to hold them and make them kiss. And I saw this, I'm like, yeah, like this is the kind of straight people I want to see.
Yeah, this is like a John Cougar Mellencamp video. And really, it is like they are gorgeous people just out there looking badass.
In their leathers.
I'm getting the middle of Manitoba.
Against the backdrop of just the collapse of the American middle class.
Or Canadian middle class, as it were.
Yeah. They speed along at a quick clip, while elsewhere in Montreal, a group of people meet in the office of the Keloid Clinic, a weird sort of commune dedicated to plastic surgery. And they talk about the possibilities of franchising this service.
I think this part is actually kind of interesting too, because like I said earlier, he so often we have these kind of like nefarious doctors, and yet they are from the jump trying to establish Dr. Keloid as, I guess, a protagonist to the extent that the movie really has one, that he's not interested. Like these other two people are like, let's make lots of money. Let's franchise. He wants to be the Colonel Sanders.
Yes.
No, he doesn't want to be the Colonel Sanders.
Well, the other guy's like, bring it on. I do want to be Colonel Sanders of the and he's uncomfortable with the idea of franchising, of trying to make lots of money. And I think one of the things that I was like, I think an underrated part of the story is plastic surgery. And I'm not really sure what else to make of it other than like, it is more of that idea that we have reached a point where you can control nature itself. You can decide what you look like and what parts you keep and don't keep and change. And like that's he doesn't really do much with it.
The 1970s saw a lot of advancements in plastic surgery medicine.
Yeah, but not in plastic surgery special effects medicine.
No, but and so this was very much a part of the zeitgeist. It was just, topical in a way.
And a lot, like, I feel like when he does try to do that, like he does in Existence with video games where you're like, oh, you don't actually know much about this. Maybe just stay away. I'm glad you stayed away from it in this.
Yeah. So the motorcycle couple continue along when here comes a bickering couple in a touring van who are lost because dudes just can't stop to ask for directions.
But also, I'm like, this bitch wife, like the second it's just like, why do you get mad? I was like, okay, here we're at. That also felt like a Cronenberg, like a pull from his real life.
Yep. Just a couple of 70-year-olds and their 9-year-old child.
Yep. They start to turn around when the van stalls in the road as the motorcycle couple turn the corner and spot them too late.
Now, look, this accident scene is downright Lansian in its size and scope. Like, it is hilarious. How do you not see a giant VW bus in the middle of the road?
I know. And they're caught completely by surprise. Yep. They swerve and they fly off the road, and the bike lands on the nice young lady and explodes, engulfing her in flame.
And it's really hilarious until you see her struggling underneath it. And then you're like, oh, I guess it's not that hilarious anymore. But then she goes up into a big fireball and you're like, oh, it's hilarious again.
Yep. She struggles to escape while some of the folks at the Keloid clinic spot the accident and alert the doctor to go and help.
God, I mean, thank God they crashed so conveniently close to this experimental plastic surgery. What if that lady wasn't watching with binoculars?
They really lucked out, and then also in the end, they really didn't luck out. It is also so funny. I didn't think about it until you said that. It's like, right, in this experimental plastic surgery commune or whatever, in the middle of God's forgotten nowhere. Like, it's not near a city. It is just like in the middle of farmland.
Yeah.
But that like, also has an ambulance.
Yeah, it's like that in The Brood also, where that shadowy institute is also just in the middle of fucking nowhere. And it has that crazy sort of brutalist architecture that Cronenberg like really loves at this time.
It almost looks a little Frank Lloyd Wright-ish in a way.
Yeah.
It's very angular, but at least in The Brood, what's it called in The Brood?
God, I cannot even remember.
Well, the positronics, something positronics.
God,
whatever it's called,
psychographics,
psychotronics.
Yeah, something like that.
Psychoplasmics.
Psychoplasmics.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes, and so at least in that one, that is based on a real place that was very much in the woods, like in the middle of the woods. I think this one is more just like, well, where else would you put an experimental plastic surgery clinic? But I don't know, the Northern Territory.
Also, we're going to paint our ambulance bright green, like a chartreuse. I'm like, I'm sorry,
Beautiful.
I love that. I thought that
Beautiful.
was gorgeous.
Yeah. Out at the accident site, the dude from the van does the absolute last thing you should do with a fire. He beats it with a blanket.
He fans the flames.
Just fan of those flames.
It's literally fanning the flame.
If G.I. Joe PSAs taught me anything, you lay the blanket over the flame to smother it.
G.I. Joe!
Nope, he's just sitting there whipping that poor Marilyn Chambers with a blanket.
And the ambulance from the institute arrives to help. They pull the bike off the badly burned girl. She's going to need surgery soon as they arrive at the institute. Her boyfriend has sustained minor injuries. So they bring her in and they prep her for surgery. And a dude in a jaunty smoking jacket is like, boy, they could have just laid a towel over her or something.
What he says, this man he's a fancy smoking jacket, he's got his hands completely bandaged, and he goes, you'd think they could cover him with a sheet or something.
So
that
good.
man is my favorite character.
It's the smoking jacket.
It's everything.
Yep. So as Dr. Joe Dante gets ready for surgery,
He really does look like him.
yeah, his nurse warns him off of the potential dangers. This kind of skin graft could result in cancerous growths. They have no goddamn idea.
No, he's just like, hey, what do we have to lose, really?
He does sort of like, he's like, oh, well, the hospital's 3 hours away. Like you could see him arguing like, you know what, we could do this in a way that I thought was funny. It's like, we all know you're gonna do it. Yeah. I don't know who you're doing this song and dance for. Like, she's already here. You're already got the skin out.
In his head,
he's fighting with himself.
He's like, oh, come on, I want to do it.
Let me use my skin.
And he does. He gets out his weird electric cheese knife and he just...
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a surgical grade vegetable peeler that freaks me out every time I see it.
It is somehow silly and stupid, but also really gross.
Makes me squirm just looking at it because I can just feel that fucking thing. Ugh. They're going to pull some skin from her leg and then treat it in such a way that the skin grafts acts like a stem cell, where it becomes skin like whatever it's grafted onto. The skin graft has to go away and be treated before they can use it, so they're going to keep the girl, Rose, in the clinic until the graft comes back.
And I feel like they skip over something here. Yeah. Something got cut out of the story here because Rose is going to end up with a dick in her armpit, and we are never going to find out why that is.
Right. The doctor explains all of this to Hart, the leather boy, who he's sending home while Rose recovers. He leaves with Dr. Keloid's partner, Marie Cypher.
His soon-to-be best friend.
Like we said, these guys are going to be the tightest of bros from way back when. Yeah.
They sure are.
Their friendship kind of reminded me of like a Giallo friendship where it's like, oh, I'm the cop and I'm going to be best friend with the murderer.
Yep. Yeah. We're talking
very
about
Italian.
that. He's like, this is a very Italian thing. I don't really know why.
Because it's like the inspector and the possible boyfriend / suspect have to team up to find out who murdered the girl.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now that night, Lloyd, a patient in the clinic, is drawn to Rose's room when she wakes up screaming and struggling in her bed.
Now, Lloyd is great because there's a moment before that where he's like in the hall or something. This is around the time I think Hart says something like, the last time I got, or the guys he's talking to is like, the last time I got my ears done, I could really feel it when the weather changed.
Yeah.
Really strange banter. But then Lloyd turns and sort of like prance runs away in the weirdest movement I've ever seen. It's like a bizarre gazelle, like a wounded, crippled gazelle.
Yeah. She struggles against the bandages, which fall salaciously from her body.
Whoops.
You got to have your titties out. I mean, just it's like, sure, that's right. You're just like wake up topless in your hospital bed, obviously.
My note says obligatory tits shot.
He tries to calm her down and explains to her what happened to her, but she stops him when he goes to get the doctor, asking him to hold her. And this
is the first time where it's like, okay, Lloyd, look, I get it. You like ladies. I presume that this is a very enticing situation for you. However, there's something not right with what's happening in that room, and you need to go get an adult immediately.
Listen, he is just a man, and she is just a topless woman, and
who has been in a coma and is confused about where she is.
and she stabs him with some unseen implement as they embrace.
What I do think is very interesting about every time she uses this proboscis. Oh, yeah. Also, we forgot to say the original title of this, the working title, was, I believe, Mosquito,
which I do like. Rabid's better, but like that, it's Mosquito is evocative. I like that.
I also forgot to share one of my favorite facts about this, which is the Brazilian title for it. I got to find it though. It was and please forgive my Portuguese, everybody. It was, I believe, enraivecida na fúria do sexo. And that translates to enraged in the sexual fury.
Ooh.
Which is how I'm going to refer to everything from now on.
Can we talk about the proboscis for a second? Just because we're, now that we've been introduced to it, I was, reading about the movie, and it was interesting how many people were like, yes, it's a vaginal opening with sort of a phallic
I
stinger.
disagree.
I was like, baby, that's a butthole. Baby, that's a butthole. We all have
a lot of vaginas, but that's not what they look like.
As someone who has one and has seen at least a couple other ones, it was so funny. People, I was like, I don't know who was writing this. Like, yeah, that's what it looks like. It's like, no, we all know this is a butthole.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Do you think they just didn't want to say it?
It's almost like Cronenberg saw that and was like, what? And he's like, a couple of years later, he makes Videodrome and he's like, no. I will show you a vaginal orifice.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, this guy knows from vagina. Like, don't worry.
That's where you put your gun and your stomach.
And your videotapes. Keeps them safe. Elsewhere, a lady applies some cream to her hands and puts on some white gloves that'll be great to contrast against some blood when in stumbles Lloyd, pale and bleeding. And he can't remember what happened to him.
I can't. She puts these gloves on specifically for that moment, and yet it's so obvious, and I love it so much that she's just like putting on her docent gloves just for this one scene.
You're like, oh no.
What I was going to say before was that when she uses her proboscis, every time it is very much like a sexual scene. Like they're both like kind of very lurid embrace, and they're shuddering like it's a very like a convulsive moment. It comes across very much as a sexual scene. Which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Dr. Joe Dante inspects the wound in his armpit, notes that the blood isn't clotting. So then they treat Lloyd and then head over to Rose's room, which is a fucking wreck.
At first,
he's
with
like, blood.
He's trying to treat him, and the nurse is like, "Hey, Dr. Kellogg, so-and-so is out in the hallway," and it's just like, you know what? All right, I know it's a medical emergency, but I'll go talk to him, I guess. Get your priorities straight, buddy.
Rose also seems to be back in a coma when we check on her again,
and those bandages are a mess.
Just. Yeah, do something about that. You can't give her some scrubs or nothing.
Or just throw a T-shirt on there.
A hospital gown.
Anything.
Yeah. Elsewhere in the clinic, we meet teenager Judy, who is there for a nose job at her weird ass dad's insistence.
Yeah.
That was a line I loved where she was like, yeah, it looks like my dad. It's like, oh yeah, great. It's like, no, that's what he doesn't like about it. I'm like, ooh, that's a whole other world. We'll never know about Judy, but love that we got that snapshot.
That's a different Cronenberg movie and probably one that we don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, put a pin in that later, because right now Rose is going to sneak up out of the clinic and walk down the road a piece to a barn where she finds a cow resting.
I think this scene of her walking down the road is stunning. Like in this sort of blue-black light, and she's just kind of wearing, I don't even know what she has on. I think it's just like a nightgown, like a hospital nightgown or something. But it reminds me of that scene in The Brood where they're
walking down the
leading the
street
girl away.
with the little broodlings.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool shot.
Yeah. Rose hits the cow with whatever the weapon is hidden in her armpit and looks
That's
suddenly...
her first instinct is to just go cuddle with this cow. My first instinct would be,
And the cow does not seem bothered at all.
Yeah. I
mean, they're huge.
This was like I really liked it because it was sort of like a fairy tale moment. I almost wish we had done more with like animals or something where it's like, oh yeah, immediately to do this to a cow. I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
I think the whole point of the scene is just to establish that it's human blood she wants.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
And so it's like, I kind of dislike it because I don't like animal violence at all, but like, this is not really a violent.
But yeah,
the cow doesn't register any emotion.
Cow is not bothered at all.
Unfortunately, poor fucking Marilyn Chambers cannot go 50 yards without some gross dude throwing himself at her.
Right. So she looks kind of momentarily relieved, appearing to be feeding off of the cow's blood, and then becomes very sick and vomits it up. In walks the drunk old farmer, whose first instinct is to throw himself on this strange woman.
Not my Canada. Now, I think is a good example of what I was saying before, is that here is a guy who walks into this situation and there is clearly something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, not just something physically wrong with her, like she's obviously sick or something, but like she has blood coming out of her mouth and she's behaving in a very strange way. And he chooses instead to ignore all of that and then just try to sexually assault her. Now, he gets what he deserves.
You might say he gets what he deserves.
Yeah, and like it's set up. I think it's obviously he's set up for that. Like he's a real piece of shit. But like, it's clearly one of those situations where like, if you had just acknowledged that something was wrong here, you'd probably still be alive. And yet he's not. And we're going to keep seeing that over and over again, where men just choose to ignore that something about her is different and that they should probably either back away or get somebody else, but they never do. And then they inevitably get killed.
Yeah, true.
And I'm fine with it all the time. I think it's interesting that like, if all they had to do was be like, blood on the mouth seems very confused and aggressive. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Drinking blood out of my cow. I guess it's sort of like, it honestly reminded me of the movie Monster that I saw not too long ago. Where it's like the first victim, well, other than Lloyd, but it's like he has to be such a piece of shit that you're like, okay, well, I get it. So then by the end of the movie, where it's like, oh no, you're just taking people out.
Yeah, now it's everybody.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep.
You got a little too comfortable.
Yeah. So she resists his advances at first, but then sees an opportunity, brings it in for a big old nasty hug, stabbing him right in the face with some nasty David Cronenberg implement. And
what I also think is interesting is that it's not even to drink his blood. She stabs him in the eye and then just runs away. Like the whole thing is that she's just escaping, which I think is also kind of interesting.
Yeah. Also, we have described we haven't really described it, but sort of up to this point they're hiding it. Yeah. Like you don't see what this. Yeah, you don't see what this thing is for a little while.
My guess is that every time they probably tried, they were like, "Oh no, let's put the shark back underwater."
Yeah. Elsewhere, Hart is in his garage listening to Marilyn Chambers' disco single Benihana while Rose sneaks back to the clinic.
And hey, if you have never heard that song and are wondering, why didn't I know Marilyn Chambers was a singer? Well,
I was going to say, I Feel Love came out the year before, and so everybody was making their own horny disco tracks at that time.
Yeah, I Feel Love is a insanely high bar.
So Rose, sweaty and panic, calls up Hart on the phone. Hart, too busy listening to horny disco, misses the call.
Lloyd, who among us? I mean,
Lloyd, meanwhile, gets ready to leave the clinic, telling his roommate, played by Cronenberg regular Robert Silverman, who we also
never get enough Robert Silverman in anything.
Nope, we just saw him in Prom Night as well.
That's right. He's
he's Mr. Sykes.
Janitor. Yep.
Yeah. He hops into a cab, still bleeding, takes off into Greater Montreal, where his condition will probably cause a big old problem down the road a ways.
Now, question about Robert Silverman. Is it a wig?
Oh.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's just one of the most aggressive comb overs I've ever seen.
Because he has the same comb over in The Brood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a deeply strange man.
Unable to reach Hart on the phone, Rose retires to the hot tub where she runs into teenage Judy, who is just hanging out in the bubbles.
Oh, now, again, here's what I think is super interesting. Judy is one of the very few people that's like, something's wrong with you.
Right, because Rose gets in her whole ass clothes.
Right,
just
yeah.
just giving Judy the creeps, who just wants to get away. When she tries,
unfortunately.
Yep, Rose grabs her, gives her the old stab technique.
And she's like, because she says, I'm so glad I ran into you. But like, she clearly doesn't know her. Like, there's so many reasons why Judy was just like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of this tub now. And she was like, no. You haven't even told me your name. It's so weird.
Yep. Lloyd, meanwhile, sweaty and messy, grabs the cab driver. Green goo just dripping from his mouth. He bites the dude.
Now, here's, I think, where we're going to get some, let's just say, inconsistency in the presentation of symptoms here. Because Rose hears the name Judy Glassberg, and that gets her juices flowing, and she leaps on this lady, and the scene unfolds like the opening from Jaws. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is like foaming green foam at the mouth like a cheap zombie movie.
Mm-hmm. But not Judy.
No. But like, why is Marilyn gets to be sexy Marilyn Chambers? Everybody else is like something out of street trash.
You're right. Rose then calls Hart again, getting him on the phone this time. She begs for him to come get her, but the nurse interrupts her and they hang up. So now Dr. Joe Dante is inspecting Lloyd's blood sample when in comes the nurse from the previous scene, who pulls him out, brings him to Rose. She's all chilled out in her room, sad, and he brings it in for a very dangerous hug.
And he has got this throbbing vein in his temple that I was so distracted by.
Like, I just want to sink my proboscis into that thing.
I don't know. I added anything. I was just taken by it.
It's the miracle of the modern high def presentation.
It's true. And then she is clearly in distress, and he immediately just kind of like falls back on weird men's bullshit where he's like, all right, don't play any games anymore. Be a good girl.
He says to her, like, just so you know, I just want to talk about how you're feeling right now. And then what does he ask her? He asks her let me inspect your skin graft after this. It's like, that is not what you just said, dude.
No, but also when he says, I want to talk about how you're feeling, she's like, well, let me tell you how I'm feeling. He's like, tut, tut.
Yeah, like, listen here.
I don't need to hear. You're hysterical.
Listen, just shut up, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real.
Bring it in. Just bring it in.
Yes.
Get
what you deserve.
So nothing happens. She's covering her face, claiming to be hideous. So he checks out her armpit where the skin graft was. And that is when we see it is not a vaginal opening at all. It is quite sphincter-like.
Yay!
Yeah. 100%.
I was like, hooray!
Yep. Also, there's like something like squirming just inside of it. It's like,
So I said in a lot of the reviews, they're like, oh, it looks so cheap. It looks so silly. I don't think that looks cheap or silly.
Yeah.
I think that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
like you can totally understand why all of these reviewers were like, oh my God, can you believe this David Cronenberg? What is to be done about this man?
Mm-hmm.
I also
click
think,
their tongues.
like an interesting thing about like her experience of it, because then also he checks, he's like, oh, does it hurt? She's like, it doesn't hurt. And we sort of check in later about her experience of this whole thing. And it's pretty positive, like neutral to positive, like in terms of how she's feeling. And I thought that was like an interest. We're establishing that's like, oh no, it's fine. I'm kind of, on some level okay with this.
Oh yeah, everybody turns horrifying except her. She stays luxurious the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, and she's becoming empowered. She's not as afraid of being with men, like, because she can take care of herself now. Like, I would imagine she's feeling great. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yep. So we cut away to Murray Cypher in Montreal watching some late night cartoons with his infant child.
Okay, sure, if you say so.
The second I saw that, I'm like, there's some sort of story. We need some sort of explanation.
Babysitting?
It's a cartoon about a potato and a
here's
tomato.
What he says.
Oh.
Here's what he says.
Yeah.
He says, look at Potato Man. You see how Potato Man loves Ketchup Man? Now, listen, Far be it from me to
Sounds like a They Might Be Giants song.
dismiss obvious inclusivity. I appreciate that. But that tomato is clearly female presenting.
High heels, big eyelashes. I thought the same thing. I was like, why is it the ketchup man?
Yeah. It would be like the green M&M. You're like, what's up with this dude?
Hart calls him up, asks him to bring him back to the clinic to go check on Rose.
Well, so Hart calls him up and Murray answers the phone and goes, hello, who is this? What do you want? Do you know what time it is?
That's a lot of questions. He was clearly asking for some, like waiting for either a telemarketer or somebody to ask him if he has Prince Albert in a can.
It's just...
So the doctor inspects Rose's armpit. And that's when we see the thing, something inside of it squirming. She explains that she's refusing the food and nutrient drips that the hospital's provided because they make her sick. And then she lunges, and the spiky armpit creature stabs Dr. Joe Dante.
And we never get an explanation for why she has this.
Well, that's a great point. I think this is a conversation where she says, "I feel strong," and it's like I didn't need it because I feel like I trust Cronenberg enough.
That's the thing is,
I was like, okay.
At no point does the sort of vagueness of this thing.
It doesn't matter. Like I think I was clued though. Like I was clued into that idea that he's like, because I had read the thing where it was like, he has a tendency to over edit and he hadn't really mastered that yet. And so I knew that there were things that he cut from this movie that actually were kind of critical to explaining plot points. And so every time certain things would come up, I'd be like, okay, I know that there actually was an explanation for this. And I know that I don't really need one. It doesn't matter. But now I'm just like hyper focused on like, yeah, but why isn't it there? It needs to be there.
Yeah. Because he's equally as vague in The Brood about how this is all happening. It's just like, this is just a thing that you just kind of got to roll with it.
That's fine. I mean, armpit, snake dick. Great. Love it.
So now Murray and Hart drive out of the city together to get to the clinic while the horny rapist farmer from the barn scene pulls up to a truck stop diner, demands half a chicken to eat.
I love this scene. I thought that this made me laugh because I was just like, oh, we're just letting loose.
Oh yeah, no, this is where the movie takes a turn, perhaps towards the absurd a little bit, because but I love that he goes in and he's like a half a chicken, but the guy next to him has also presumably ordered half a chicken, and there's some kerfuffle about whose half a chicken comes up first.
Right. When the adjacent customer's order turns up, rapist man eats it ravenously while bleeding from his eye behind his glasses.
And the guy's like, hey, I think that's mine. And it's like, you see him and it's like, sir, he has blood gushing out of his eyes. This is not a man in control of his faculties. He's not going to
also, do you want him to give it back?
I know. The chicken is just falling off the bone.
It's got
and
blood
shit.
all in it now. And
he yanks off his glasses and it appears that Rose stabbed him right in the eye. So then he attacks the restaurant staff.
He bites the waitress on the arm.
Yeah. Joe Dante is back at the clinic getting ready for surgery. The nurse remarks that he looks really, really tired. In surgery, he's not performing very well. It appears to be dripping a yellow fluid from his eye.
So gross.
It's so gross. He asks for some scissors from the nurse, and then he cuts her finger off suddenly, attempting to drink the blood from the wound over the patient.
Now,
the whole place
I
goes
will
nuts.
I will say this is probably the only part of the movie that's a little bit silly. It's a little over the top. There is also, while they're doing this, we're cutting back and forth between Hart and Murray in the car, and they cut from like the Dr. Kellogg's hand shaking or whatever's happening, and they cut to them in the car, and Hart is just staring at Murray at the wheel, and they just hold it for like 30 seconds, and they say nothing, and then they cut away.
Yeah, they're just sharing a coffee. Yeah.
And it bothers me that he keeps putting his coffee on the dashboard of the car. It's just like just loose in a cup.
You are one bump away from third degree burns.
This is Canada in the 70s. You know that ride is not that smooth.
You know that coffee is hot. Yeah. So now in the panic, Rose seizes the opportunity to yank out her IV, pack up her shit, and leave. She hitchhikes a while, getting picked up by a truck driver whose name we're going to learn in a little while. And it is awesome.
So good.
It is my favorite moment in the entire movie. Next to Santa Claus getting shot. Murray and Hart arrive at the clinic as police are showing up to deal with the mayhem from the previous scene.
And Hart says, our place is crawling with police. Is he a doctor now?
Is he an investor in the Keloid Institute? Yeah, he goes in to find Rose, but no one seems to know where she is. The cops tell Murray that some of the officers were bitten and bring him to the paddy wagon where Rabid Joe Dante frantically throws himself against the window, just drooling green goo all over the place.
He looks like, I know, Hal, you might know this reference. Are You Afraid of the Dark? There's an episode called The Ghastly Grinner.
Okay.
Which is a kid who draws comic books, and the comic book character like comes to life, and he's like this kind of Harlequin looking guy.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
He leaves his victims like laughing maniacally and like drooling, and their hair is all frizzy. That's what this guy looks like in the back of the van. Like he's this kind of cartoon character. He's very National Lampoons.
The cops bring Hart into the kitchen and open a refrigerator to ask him if the body inside is Rose. It's Judy, the teenager, stuffed inside and frozen.
I feel like there's a better way to do that.
I also feel like it's interesting that was the VHS cover or poster when that's the most idiosyncratic death in the movie. Like it's actually not a depiction of the horrors you're going to see. Like her frozen is like it's almost misleading in how specific it is.
Yeah,
and it also feels like maybe while they were shooting it, they were like, "Oh, there's the key art right there."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh shit, that looks good." The truck driver, meanwhile, offers Rose some of his sandwich. He said, "He's just a good dude that way."
He says it's steak on a bun, and I thought, well, that sounds gross. And then Rose takes a bite, and she deems it fabulous. And then she immediately jumps out of the truck and pukes all over the place.
Driver gets out to help her, and then helps her back into the cab, promising to get her something that a very sick lady can eat. Again, just because he's a good dude.
See, he's the first one that I think defies my theory, because he's not doing anything he's not being creepy. He's like trying to be helpful and recognizing like, hey, something's wrong with this lady. We should give her, and unfortunately.
Well, I have a feeling that it's in this guy's nature, because you don't get a name like that being a scumbag.
Oh, you mean a name like Smooth Eddie?
Smooth Eddie. The truck driver's name is Smooth Eddie. I fucking love it. It's the
you
best.
find that out because one of them goes, yeah, Smooth Eddie always looks good. Like, yeah, that's why they call him Smooth Eddie. Obviously.
Yeah. Later, a cop pulls up to the truck which is still parked on the side of the road. Rose is gone, and Smooth Eddie is disoriented and bleeding behind the ear. Rose strikes again. Thinking he fell asleep, cop gets him back on his way. Down the road, Rose catches a ride to Montreal with a lady.
Now, did she kill that lady? I'm trying to remember if we see that death.
I don't think so.
Interesting.
But I mean, I can only assume that she does.
Yes, we know that we could believe that she did. We just didn't see it on.
Yeah, at this point, everybody's fair game.
Or the lady in the car is the lady in the subway car later on.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. All right.
I'm on board.
So the cop drives back to the police station where very French Claude Lapointe
Incredible.
tells him that the entire station is under quarantine.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, we don't want to be dramatic, but it's basically the Black Plague and rabies combined.
Yeah, we'll find out why in a minute.
Bon
Hart and Murray are also stuck in the station where he calls up Mindy, Rose's best friend in the city, to tell her to look out for
Mindy.
Poor Mindy.
The second you see Mindy, it's like, well, she's not getting out of here.
Yeah, not long for the world, is she?
At the warehouse manager goes into the warehouse and is attacked by Rabid Smooth Eddie, who gets into it with a couple of other dudes. Mindy, meanwhile, sips some tea while watching a news report about a new wave of rabies which is running wild in the city, urging everybody to get vaccinated for rabies. Can you fucking imagine?
I was not expecting. I didn't know, having not read about it, I didn't know that we're going to have a vaccine. We're going to have the cards. I was like, oh, okay, it's a pandemic moment.
I'm about to dredge up our national trauma for yucks.
God, great.
So,
great. Somebody's got to.
Yeah. Claude Lapointe explains how it all works. And then just then, Rose knocks on the door and takes up with Mindy. Murray and Hart chill at the police station when things suddenly turn violent. One of the cops is foaming green at the mouth and attacks his bros, so they shoot him with a shotgun. He got the rabies shots, and they did nothing. See, the vaccines, they don't do anything. They don't work.
Yeah.
I would say, I'm a late in life, like a comp het lesbian, so I didn't even know I was gay. And technically, I did come out after I got the vaccine. So there is something where I'm like, I guess on paper, you could make the argument to turn me gay. And that's
correlation is not causation.
Exactly. But in this case, it is.
Yeah. Listen, it's everything that they feared.
And
Thank
that's why
God.
the frogs are
Rose-
gay.
Rose now sneaks out of Mindy's place in a luxurious fur coat. Mindy tries to come with her, but Rose shrugs her off and heads out into the night.
And what
She steps
what
in.
I love about Rose at this point, and I think this is why I really like Marilyn Chambers in this role, she does this very well, is that the more confident she becomes, the more people she kills essentially, and the more confident she becomes, she starts to kind of come across as slightly malevolent or menacing in a way. Like her confidence starts to border on threatening in a very a sort of uncharacteristic way of women. Like you don't see that, and and of course the she's got that fucking badass coat on.
coat's so good.
She looks
Truly a luxurious
chic
coat.
as hell. Steps out on, like, she's got it up around her neck, like, and I think that's part of that, like her coming from adult films. I think she has a way of kind of commanding through sexuality and sort of through aesthetics in a very a way that I think is very kind of vital to this role. I can't imagine Sissy Spacek doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we probably.
It would have been a way different.
Yeah, and
movie.
I understand the idea of like her being softer and Hart also kind of being like soft in as much as like they both are ineffectual. Like neither of them like are like figuring out what's going on. So I could sort of see it, but this to me, like you said, it's not only her like being confident with men or sort of stepping into this malevolence with men, but also she's going out into like what seems to be complete chaos in the city. So it's like you are now safe even amongst this chaos, which is part of the, I think as a woman, sort of the feminist idea is like, yeah, that's the appeal is sort of stepping into that role. It's like, I don't have to take this on and be afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I can't imagine anyone else doing it better than she does it. She just has this look to her that she really sells it, especially in this scene where it's just like, I think she really kind of brings it home here.
Yeah. She steps into a porno theater, which is running a sexy double feature of wife swappers and models for
That
pleasure.
sounds real boring. Like a real boring porn movie.
I know this is like those old like Doris Wishman white coaters. She immediately catches the eye of a patron in a jacket with a collar that practically stretches out to his shoulders.
And he is a full-blown creep.
And
Yep. Comes
I do
over.
love that the porno as we listen to it is like you said, like a very porno 101, where it's just like a woman being like, I never imagined such a thing. It's like she's explaining as if like this is the first time anyone's ever had sex. I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, it feels like those old sexploitation movies. Like where like the stuff you'd see where she's just like, well, I've never seen one of those before.
Yeah, she spent a weekend at a nudist camp and it's like, I've never felt so free.
As typically happens.
So yeah, he comes over and offers to hang out with her so no other dudes come up to her.
And he saw, like, these are those moments. We watch a lot of movies from the 70s and 80s, and this is one of those scenes that I see a lot when I'm just like, this reminds me of how thoroughly terrible men are and just how difficult it is to be a woman pretty much anywhere. Like, here she is. She just wants to go out and enjoy a nice porno on a Thursday afternoon, and she's got this creep, like, stroking her hair.
Yeah. But the thing is you know, he's got this fucking like wolf-like look on his face, like I'm gonna get in this woman's shit, but she sees right through it because she's no dummy, and then she tells him to come on down and sit with her, and he looks at her like he can't believe that worked.
Yeah.
This fucking idiot.
Also, it's easy pickings for her because I remember when I saw that scene, I was like, why is she bothering to go to the porno theater? Like, there's just.
Oh, she
But
knows.
it's like, oh right, because she could just pluck them like grapes. Yeah.
Yeah. He sits with her and she leans in and then he reads the signals, reaches in to feel her up and is paid for his advances in kind. The armpit spike monster slips out now with a nasty ass spike on the end of it.
Yeah, I was into it.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Cut to Rose just leaving the theater alone.
And looking badass
Yeah.
as she walks down the street.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's like she's leaving like the fucking end of Staying Alive.
Yeah, it is so cool.
Yeah. The movie continues inside, but Leisure Suit Larry here is now laid out on the seat looking dead with a nasty ass wound on his hand.
I also like that it's like the hand, the eye, it's never like, and it's always something very subtle, like a very small kind of innocuous part of the body.
And
I
it's not-
appreciate that.
Or it's the sort of intruding organ, right? It's the thing, the aggressor's like weapon ends up getting like fucking stabbed out, and he gets his eye stabbed out for like, I don't know, the male gaze. This is him trying to feel her up, and he gets fucking stabbed in his hand for his trouble.
And as you say that, it's kind of shocking. I don't think we see it go in anyone's mouth. I feel like it's natural, and I think it's interesting that he avoided that in particular.
And it's also, I think we haven't even addressed how weird it is that it's in her armpit.
Oh no! The very last guy in the movie, the wound is on his face, his cheek. Yeah. So back at her apartment now, strewn with huge leafy plants, which feels very 70s.
Loved it.
Yes.
I am in love with, like, you expect to see macrame, hangers, I loved it.
Yeah.
Toronto, baby.
Mindy gets ready to go out while Rose squirms on the floor, all miserable and sweaty.
Oh my God. That really got me, like that, like seeing her in the bathroom while her friend's like, are you going to wish me luck? That to me like felt like the most like intimate moment in it, where it's like, yeah, like if there was anything human, obviously like the implication is like Rose is no longer human, or she's becoming more than human or something. So it's like that naturally would be the moment to be like, hey, yeah, I guess I have to admit to you something's going on. And she's like, I'm brushing my teeth. And it's like, that scene really got me.
I feel like he's flirting with an addiction narrative here. Cause this is very much like I've seen addicts in the throes of, withdrawal like that, and like every time I see that I'm like, oh shit. But he never really fully commits to it.
It is interesting though to go from that scene where she is so overwhelmingly confident to immediately turning to this where she is extremely vulnerable, and it's almost like he's reminding you like she is still a person. Remember, like she's becoming this other thing, but deep down she is still Rose.
Yeah. But what I do love about this scene is that Mindy is like, oh shit, like, are you okay in there? And she's like, I'm fine. I'm brushing my teeth. Good luck. And then Mindy's like, cool. That's all I needed. See you later.
She's just so relieved. She's like, my good friend's here. As you say that, it makes me think of the movie Ravenous, because what I liked about do you guys seen that one?
That's the one with
David Arquette and what's this
Guy Pearce.
Is that like when you find out like what is the cannibalism, it's just they describe it as like, when I do this I feel really good, and I sort of like thought of that in the same way, where it's like it just is how she feels rather than having some sort of like deeper mythology, which I don't know, I thought that was extremely creepy. They do that's like, now I feel strong, and there's only these two polar opposites for me now.
And she doesn't even bother to question any of it. It's just like, I just like, and again, I think that, at least from my perspective, kind of fits that feminist narrative where it's like, I like that I can go out and not feel afraid. I can go to a porno theater and sit down and be in total control. And like, I'm not going to question it any deeper and that's that thing, her ignoring the implications of whatever this is, whatever's going on. She doesn't want to think about it because she just likes being the way that she is.
Yeah.
Off Mindy goes to catch some of that sweet Canadian mass transit, picking up a ride on the subway.
Oh man, this was like triggering my PTSD.
Everything's going fine. Everyone just minding their own beeswax when one of the riders, a lady spewing green fluid from her eyes, suddenly erupts with green goo and attacks a rider. And I saw this and it's like, listen, I've ridden on the Orange Line. This is just a fucking Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, but with like a little bit more space. Now, I feel like if I, as someone who used to ride a very packed train multiple times a day, I feel like if anybody was like leaking from the eyes like that, people would be like, no, thank you.
No. Listen. So yeah, when I was interning in Boston, I was interning in Back Bay. So I would take the Orange Line from Malden to Back Bay and then go home. And if you're not from the area, listener, the Orange Line is a fucking nightmare. It is. It's
one of the worst.
It's just terrible. And I'm riding on my way back, and it is. I think this was one of my morning days, so I was leaving in the afternoon. So it's middle of the afternoon. I'm riding. It's a reasonably packed train as people are leaving the city with me, and I look down. I'm at one end of the train car, and I look down, and there is a man standing holding onto the bar with one hand, and in the other hand, he is holding a large, very large trash bag, like a black trash bag, like Art.
Oh, I will go immediately. That's who it called to mind. I'm like, oh no, okay.
And not just that, he has a significant, actively bleeding head wound that is just bleeding down his clothes, getting all on the floor and shit, and nobody's doing nothing.
I have a sort of similar. This is the first time I was ever to New York. I was with a friend of mine. We were looking for an apartment, and we walked down onto the G train, and there's a guy. I hear what sounds like peeing, so I'm like, I'm not looking at the guy because I'm like, whatever, it's New York. He's peeing on the platform. I don't, whatever. And we both look over, and in fact, he is bleeding. It looks like he'd been stabbed. So he's like bleeding from his abdomen. Somebody's like already on the phone with 911. The train pulls up, and me and my friend run to the train conductor. Like, we think this guy got stabbed. Could you call the cops? And she goes, yeah, I will. Are you getting on the train? And we both went, okay. And we got on the train. Now I wouldn't. Now I would stay. But at like 22, I was like, oh, I guess that's just what, hey, only in New York. And then we got on the train, and it's like, okay.
Yep. So now the other riders pull her off, and she looks just so pleased with herself as her victim falls out on the floor. When the train stops, everyone just spills out of the station in a panic. We catch up with Claude Lepoint. Meanwhile, he rides in a car with a city official when they're stopped suddenly by some rabid construction workers who literally jackhammer into the car, killing the driver.
So the guy driving the car says, when they pull up and he stops, he turns and says, I'm sorry, sir, but there's no way I can get around this truck.
Yep. I got a little note here. It says, I'm sorry, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
And they act like the construction guys are coming over to talk to them when one of them is literally wielding a tool like above his head in classic, like, I'm going to kill everyone in this car fashion.
Yeah, this is about as close, I think, as Cronenberg will ever get to a slasher.
Yeah. Doctors in the city are now starting to recommend martial law to continue the rabies disease. Again, can you imagine? The biggest morons you knew were licking each other's faces and fucking coughing into each other's mouth during COVID to own the libs. And they're just like, I don't know, maybe martial law would be a good thing. And the city's just like, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yeah. The city also institutes a lockdown. And again, nobody freaks out. It's just the most amazing shit.
That's Canada. That is what I imagine Canada is like. Where it's like, I hope we don't infect you with our Americanness.
Oh God. Yeah. I'm playing it up like Canada didn't do that shit, but Canada was just as fucking bad as we were.
Just as bad. How dare you?
Oh, hey, the Freedom Convoy
I forgot about that. So. Wow, you're really taking me back. The Freedom Convoy. Oh boy.
The good old days.
Yep. So as things are coming undone in the city, Murray and Hart are just shown to their car. They're like, the cops are like, hey, good luck, boys. Like, they drive into the city to look for Rose.
This quarantine seems like kind of pointless at this point.
Right. And also,
I know, because
like they're going to drive around and like find her on foot. Like, it's just sort of like, we'll just let you loose. It's like, it's not going to work out like that.
I know. Rose takes to a shopping mall where Santa is taking pictures with the kids, and city cops are patrolling the place with submachine guns. She takes a seat and is just immediately set upon by another horny dude.
500 feet. She just got to the mall. She walks by this weird twink who's dressed in that Renaissance fair outfit, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's like he just got out of fucking Pirates of Penzance.
And he's like, I gotta go to the mall and hit on women.
Strolls up to her and he's like, this sure is nice, eh, Christmas?
Yeah. Again.
That's so your opening line?
So much for the fucking lockdowns, meanwhile.
Hey, you like Christmas, eh?
Yeah. So the dude offers her a smoke, but has no light, so he goes off to find one. Goes to a stranger to get a light, and it's another rabid dude who attacks him. The machine gun turns on him, and he hoses the rabid guy down with bullets, but also kills the mall Santa. Oh, man. It is hilarious.
Santa Claus.
I fucking cackled.
Yeah, I love a Christmas horror. It came out of nowhere. Once you see the Santa, I'm like, I bet that Santa will be murdered. But like, it was an unexpected moment for me in a Cronenberg movie, if that makes sense. Like, I was like, oh,
you expect him to be a little more tasteful, and that feels very trauma to me.
Yeah, or even like the Santa would turn and attack someone rather than we're just gonna gun him down. And then what is the cop said? I don't remember. He's like, oh no, or like, oh shit. Like he's
just like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, he's like, oh man, my dad's gonna be so mad at me.
He's gonna be so mad. And then, but like, I there's something about this moment that just feels so absurd. Like the movie takes a hard turn in tone, but it's also, that was also reminding me of like when you find out in that movie Mad Men that it takes place at Thanksgiving for no particular reason.
Right,
they're just at camp at Thanksgiving.
At Thanksgiving genius camp.
Thanksgiving camp killed us. That was so realizing the time, and then of course the fact there's a hot tub, the fact that everyone is just one by one going into the forest. I love Mad Men.
Oh shit, Halle, you're bringing me back.
It's such a good movie.
We get that awesome love song.
What a film.
Yeah.
Just two lovers.
Mindy returns home to find Rose writhing in her bed. Her diabolical hunger is killing her while Murray and Hartz drive around the city still searching.
And this is the point where I was just like, it felt like just a few minutes ago, they were like, let's go to the clinic. And now they have been driving all over Canada.
It is like, this is how they spend all their time, just broing down together, looking for this guy's lost girlfriend. The radio guy announces that the disease is an official epidemic. The military ushers people into quarantine zones, stopping anybody who doesn't have a vaccine card to prove their status. Anti-vax psychos try to get through.
And there was like the one guy where like he's like, hey, stop that guy. And the guy's like, okay, fine. Now, I remember when I got my first vaccine, there was a fist fight in the line.
Oh, God.
And it's just like, here's this one guy who's like, you got me. I'm not vaccinated.
Yeah. Murray and Hart end up stopped in the street while the military escorts a series of garbage trucks into the city with armed men perched on the roofs. Before they go on, Murray needs to stop at his place to check on his family, so off they go. He gets out, gives the car over to Hart so he can go on and find Rose. Tells him to get her, bring her back to his place. These guys are great.
My best friend, obviously. Yeah. Bring this woman who is the origin of this epidemic and bring it to my home and my infant child.
They're a family now.
Right. Murray goes into his house, finds a place empty, checks the baby's room, finds nothing but fresh blood on the floor. Checking the bassinet, he finds it full of blood. And then a sound in the closet behind him grabs his attention. His rabid wife suddenly leaps out and attacks him. Green goo just going all over the place. Murray Cypher, we hardly knew ye.
I feel like the green goo is too much. Like, you didn't need it. It makes it a little silly.
I love it. It's gross. It's just gross.
Well, green goo on top of the proboscis, the phallic proboscis, which I agree is a little too much. I guess, yeah, I'm more on the side of there's never too much. To me, this was probably the scariest moment of when you're seeing Cypher walk into his house and he's calling for his wife. It's like, you can call all you want. We both know that she's dead. And then you see like the shot of the baby's door is open just a little bit. It's like, that baby's dead. This was really effective to me.
My note says Cecily ate the baby. Because he touches he puts his hand on the floor and touches it and it's all bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah, this does not bode well. No. Hart drives around the city and is forced to stop when he spots a dead David Cronenberg on the street and is suddenly set upon by a rabid crazy person.
So he sees the dead David Cronenberg and he just sort of looks over and just keeps going. He's pretty unbothered by it.
He's seen some shit by now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. The military dudes shoot the crazy guy, hose the windshield down with disinfectant, send him on his way.
I do like
throw the corpse in a garbage truck.
I like how I guess thoughtful they are when they get the guy off the car and they hose it down.
Oh shit, we made a real mess here.
And they're like, all right, buddy, you're good to go.
But that is sort of what I like when I think of the pandemic. It is sort of like, well, I guess at least you guys have the cleanup crew. Like they immediately leapt to, we're just gonna start cleaning up.
Yeah, Gilles and Etienne just jump in and hose the thing down and send him on his way.
There is something about this whole scene that feels this is where I was like, oh, this feels very much like Night of the Living Dead. Like rounding up the bodies. Maybe Dawn of the Dead.
Actually, this is more like the Crazies.
Ooh, yeah. I love the Crazies.
That was my other thought too.
Yeah. Mindy nurses Rose in her bed, but the moment she leaves the room, Rose gets up, sneaks out to feed again in her luxurious fur coat.
She runs for the door, and Mindy goes, "Oh no!"
Yeah, she tries to stop her. Rose's condition is worsening, and she's fighting the urge to feed off Mindy.
She says, "I don't want it to be you," and we all know what's going to happen. And yet, I was
sad.
Like, my heart sinks a little bit, and I think my heart sinks a little bit because this part feels a little more exploitive than maybe he meant it to be, because it feels like, for one thing, Rose is just wearing her underwear, but it feels like or at least we are given the impression that her friend might have some romantic feelings for her.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay.
That was kind of the vibe that I get. She's very...
Well, Mindy is very, very motherly to her up to a point, and the fact that she keeps like sneaking out to go out into the city seems to be like upsetting her, because she's like, oh, I'm like the worst host. I should be like entertaining you. And she's like, yeah, stay home and do your laundry. I'm gonna go out to the porno theater.
I like Mindy. I like the idea of a romantic intrigue just in as much as, again, as someone who came out super late. I feel like Mindy could be in love with her, and even Mindy doesn't realize. So I feel like I could see that sublimated feeling. And then also, like, it's the most intimate relationship. Like, Rose kind of isn't calling Hart. Like, she's not looking for him. The person she's dealing with is Mindy, and like this.
Well, there's something about like her interactions with Hart are very kind of functional. Like, they're just kind of matter of fact. Like, she calls him in a panic. She calls him because she's confused. But it's with Mindy that she seems to have a more domestic situation.
Yeah. Yeah. It is at first earlier in the movie, before she's really gone out and realized what she can do, she is calling Hart and she's like, oh, I need you. I need you to come in and rescue me, save me, take me away from this. And then at a certain point, she gets out there and starts like hitting motherfuckers and is like, oh shit. Like, I guess I don't really need this guy.
It's like, I can push you down the stairs. It doesn't matter.
But Mindy. She's just the greatest.
The second you see how big her glasses are is when you know that she's gonna die.
It's all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are some real Judith Light glasses. They hug, and then we can only assume the worst. So now Hart finally arrives at Mindy's apartment building and runs in to Rose actively feeding off of Mindy's body.
It's very sad.
Yeah. He's horrified to realize that she's patient zero for this disease. And then she refuses to accept this because, I don't know, she's just in denial, or she's been enjoying herself.
But Hart, too, is like, who the fuck did you think started this? Like, did you think about any of this for just a second? It's like, come on,
and that's interesting, too, that the idea that, like, I feel like there's a version of this movie where she's, like, stepping into her power, like, she's enjoying it. Like, yeah, I know I am. Like, I am now some sort of, like, I'm the queen of this hive, or, like, there's a way in which this is a ladder to her power. And to have her be like, nah, is very interesting, like, in denial about it. And then also when he opens the door, she looks up from, she's on top of Mindy, and she doesn't say, she basically says it's not what it looks like, which is kind of sexual, but it's not exactly that, but it's something where she's like, it's like, well, girl, it is what it looks like.
Yeah, no, you're eating your friend. Yeah. But there's something between that distinction that she's making where she's like, no, the power is the good part, but all this other bad stuff, that's not me. Like, I'm just feeling good, and you're telling me I'm this other thing, and that's not true. Yeah.
Yeah. Hart freaks out, and then she freaks out, and he wants to bring her in so the authorities can contain her, but she runs off. And he chases her and falls down the steps, hitting his head at the bottom.
Yep.
This
not so much in it together anymore.
Nope. Gives Rose the opportunity she needs to slip out.
Here's my question to you guys. Do you think that we're to think that she doesn't feed on him then because it's love, or because, like, is it like, I can't do this because it'll confirm what he just said? Because I obviously, when that moment happens, you're like, okay, she's going to do it, and she doesn't.
I think she's just shocked by what happened, by him falling, and she sort of runs away.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just kind of it's a failure of storytelling. Really, I think that the sort of bridge from the moment where it's sort of hinted that she's about to kill Mindy. This sort of bridge to the third act is really kind of wobbly, and they don't really pull it off. And I think that the reason that she kind of walks away from him is just because they need to set up the next scene.
That's fair.
Yeah. But also, I do think I'm going to project a shit ton right now. But like, she's come so far without him. Like, it's in his absence that she's become this empowered kind of badass lady. And so she's kind of just like, fuck it. I don't need
I would have liked that if he was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, this is the new me, baby.
Yeah, this is me now.
I would have loved that. Like, because that would have been an entirely different ending. Because I really don't like the way this
we're obviously going to get into the ending.
Yeah. So now down in the building's lobby, she runs into a dude who defied the lockdown to pick up his mail since he used to live there.
Just another guy just on the prowl.
Yep. They leave together as Hart comes to his senses, finds a phone ringing in Mindy's apartment. It's Rose, and she has a plan to prove that she's not the source of the disease.
You haven't come so far. This is a bad plan.
Yeah.
She fed off this dude, and if he suddenly wakes up all rabid and shit, she'll know. So she seems to be resigned to her fate, feeling guilt for what she's responsible for. And Hart can only listen in horror as the rabid dude wakes up and attacks.
And then he smashes the phone in what can only be described as a fit of hysterical anger.
I had a different reading where I thought that she was genuinely setting up as an experiment. To me, I read that as like a naivete.
I think she does too.
And the reason I say that is because when she's talking on the phone, she's like, I have him here with me in this room. To me, it mirrored when you're listening to the porno, where it's like almost like a woman's innocence. Like I brought a man to my room and then it will prove that there's something wrong with me. And then sort of I don't know if he's punishing her exactly, but it's like this has to be the turn. Because when you see her face, I took it as like genuine, like, oh, okay, I fucked up.
I think it's a genuine moment too. I think she's so delusional that she's like, at that point, she's like, no, I will prove this to you. I know that I'm not the reason why. So I'll sit here. But there's also a part of her that's kind of like, what am I doing? This could be dangerous. So like, it does seem like she genuinely thinks like, no, I'll show you. I've put myself here and he will be fine. And it's like, he has a hole in his face from your armpit thing. I mean,
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Get it together.
Well,
It's a living.
He eats her. I also have questions about like why, if she's like, I guess we're never really told explicitly that she would be immune from all of this, but like the fact that he just sort of like turns on her and attacks her is like, oh, I guess I never thought that would have been the case.
Yeah.
That she was sort of like the queen.
Right.
Of
And
them.
almost like even if she had like said that explicitly and then had the turn, I think that would have maybe landed it a little bit more where it's like, oh, but she's not sharing much beyond that explanation of what she thinks is going on.
Right. And that, I think this sort of comes back to my original theory too about like, or in terms of the punishment, like this is David Cronenberg sort of like getting almost there, but it's sort of like, well, this is feminism gone awry, gone run amok. And this is the, the end result is she kind of overplays her hand and a more violent predator kills her. And it's sort of like, why did you feel the need to punish her? Because she dies. This is the end of Rose.
Yeah. In the morning, one of those garbage trucks pulls up behind an apartment building, finding Rose's dead body among the trash. They pick her up, casually toss her body in the garbage truck. Roll credits.
And it makes me, I guess I just, did he not go over and find her? Or like, was she, because in my mind, she was at Mindy's or like, in my mind, he would have gone to find her body. How'd she get outside?
Good question. Yeah. Well, like we don't see what happens to her. And so the transition from being in this guy's place to behind some like really shabby apartment is a fucking mystery.
And it's such an unceremonious ending that's kind of like, well, why didn't you think of something else, anything else?
I think that it's a very apropos Cronenberg ending, but like as far as his filmmaking goes, he's not really there yet. So it's very incongruous to me.
Yeah, because I think like it is a more, not necessarily exploitative, but like a more nihilistic ending. Because it sort of just implies that there's no world in which she was like a thinking person, right? Like sort of like, well, this is like this felt like an inevitable ending. I also maybe think it would have hit differently if like he was looking for her body and then they threw it in and he missed it or something. Like there would be a way to sort of like bring him in at the end and we don't see him at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even to have her recognize sort of the error of her way in the end and be like, oh, this was a bad idea. I've locked myself in here with a dangerous animal or whatever. Like, we don't even get that. We just sort of like get the, well, it's a foregone conclusion. And now we're throwing her into a dump truck, I guess.
And I guess it is sort of just, again, to project onto it, but sort of the idea that if this is a fear of feminism and like what that will do for sort of the sexual dynamics, I like, again, like it feels good faith. Like it feels like this is a fear that he's trying to work out. Like it is both their dynamics have shifted and then also the city is falling apart. Like the institutions are falling, the systems are falling apart. And I think that like this, to me, it felt like this is what straightness is, where it's like, oh no, things are falling apart. And then it's like, not exactly. Like, yes, things are falling apart, but the things itself are terrible. I don't know. So it's like to me, a misunderstanding of what feminism was. Because it still implies that like this woman has no like conscious thought about things And it's like, oh, you became dangerous. You didn't understand your power. If only you had understood it in the way that a man would.
Right. Like it seems to and I do think it is a good faith thing. I think he does. I don't think he sees it as a bad thing. I just think he sees it as something he doesn't know what to make of it or how to reckon with it.
What I think this period of Cronenberg is not an examination of, say, feminism or an examination of the collapse of a marriage or a divorce. It's him trying to work out what his place is in this sort of new paradigm, which I think is very, very, very interesting. It's more of a sort of like a meditation on it instead of him trying to sort of evaluate it and assign judgment or value to this sort of thing. Because, I mean, we are sort of like really deep in second wave feminism at this point. Like Gloria Steinem is like on all the magazine covers at this point. So like it's definitely a part of the conversation, and it's something that his life is touching on in a way. And rather than be reactionary against it, he's trying to sort of figure out like, where am I? Like, where am I in this? How does my life sort of affect this, and how does it affect me? Because again, that's sort of like what he does in The Brood, where it's like he starts to kind of figure out what his role in the collapse of this relationship is, and in the same way, he's almost there. Like he almost gets it in this movie, and then they're just like, "Come on, dude, you got to finish this movie," and it just kind of ends.
I think that probably explains, or that would explain why it just sort of has this kind of meh ending. Is like if we're actually looking at this from his perspective, what that power means for her is irrelevant. Because he and I think it just has this kind of weird ambivalent ending. Like it's for the same reason you don't see Hart again. Is like he doesn't really have a conclusion, so it just ends.
And I think also this is a very J.G. Ballard ending, where like you have been put through some shit. You have like watched like, you know, people in an apartment building like fighting over a dog's carcass for food and shit. And then it just kind of comes to an end in a very sort of nihilistic way, where like somebody just dies and the book ends. Like that's very much a Ballard thing. And so it's Cronenberg very early. He's still very clumsy in what he's doing, but he's getting there, you know.
I also forgot to say too up top, this was the first time he ever had to experience studio executives not necessarily interfering, but like participating in the revision process.
Oh, that must have drove
which
him
was
nuts.
very, very foreign for him. So there probably were moments where they were like, well, why don't you do this? And he was like, well, why don't I just end the fucking movie instead?
Well, why don't you have her bandages fall off when she jumps up in bed? And he's like, God damn it, fine, you guys.
Perverts.
Rabid.
Part of me thinks that like I could see Sissy Spacek doing this movie and being good if it was a more traditional trajectory of like she is stepping into her power. Like it's like if she started as the Carrie Sissy Spacek, and then by the end she is like, you know, taking on some new persona. Like I think that could have been interesting, but also that's not what the movie was. So it's like,
right.
Yeah.
And I think she comes like, we never really get any kind of interiority from the Rose character. We don't know anything about her before that. We just sort of get her coming out of a coma, becoming a serial killer. And I'm cool with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm cool. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is. David Cronenberg, Rabid, 1977.
Again, I loved it.
It's great. Yeah. I love it. You know, it's flawed. But again, like I love Cronenberg is one of my favorites. And I love watching him develop in this way. Like he's definitely one of the directors who you can just see grow on screen. And so it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
But Halle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it. And again, as much as I love my co-host, it is nice to talk to people who also have seen the movie. What a breath of fresh. So thank you.
So tell our listeners about that, because your podcast has a very unique premise.
Absolutely. So our Ruined podcast, you can find us on all social media at Ruined Podcast. Basically, I am at a certain point, I believe I've become like a clinical horror fan in a way that many horror fans become, where it's like, unless I'm consciously thinking about it, I'm just consuming horror. And of course, that led to a relationship I have with my co-host, Allison Leiby, a very funny stand-up. She literally can't watch horror because, like many people, as it turns out, gets very vivid nightmares. And I've since starting the podcast had people tell me about this. And I was like, oh, I can see it in sleep like a log. But I see a movie, I explain it to Allison, and I sort of have her sort of predict what she thinks is going to happen. And in the 5 years, because it would be 5 years in August, she's become incredible. Again, she doesn't retain any of it. She immediately empties her brain, but I've trained her sort of like a dog to sort of be able to clock what happens in the movie. And it's great. So join us. It's similar to your guys if one of you just never watched any of it. But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No,
I'm going to give it an extra plug because as I said up top, and I was very genuine about that, I am actually a very big fan of Ruined.
So sweet.
I have been listening from pretty much from the beginning, big all in on Patreon. But I will say one thing that I really appreciate, and I think that a lot of other and a lot of our listeners hopefully would probably appreciate, is that you do something that not a lot of people do, which is you connect emotionally with a lot of the movies to the point that you often are moved to tears.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know that occasionally you might not be comfortable with that, but I think as someone who is a very sort of not stoic, but a little turned off sometimes, I am always very impressed when people are willing and able to connect with art or any kind of creative output in that way, especially when it's something like horror. It means you found something deeply human in it, and I always love that. I am a huge fan, and I think a lot of our listeners would also love it. So hopefully,
incredibly nice. And again, all I could say to that is I simply can't not. I'm like at a point where I'm like, I need to see horror, and I need it to move me. This is my genre. I do love comedy still. I am a comedy writer in my day job, but I don't know if you guys feel like that, but I'm just like, I just love this.
Since we started this podcast, it is. I kind of take it upon myself to approach it because everybody who listens knows because we talk about it a lot, but we come at this from fans since childhood. And the way that we watch movies now is just we look into them very deeply and we give them and we afford them a level of scrutiny that very few other outlets do, simply because we love it. We consider it art, and art deserves that sort of level of attention to detail. Also, I'm horribly ADHD and I have to consume these things that I love at that level where I know absolutely everything about it.
Yeah. Also, I was going to say, Dave, that was very kind of you. And also part of it was well, I also have ADHD. I can't avoid it. I cry constantly. In it both positive and negative ways, but, thank you. I really appreciate that. And also it's really lovely to see the amount of care and love and concern that you put into these movies. Cause I feel the same way.
Yeah. So yeah, listeners, Ruined. You gotta check it out. So that said, where are we off to next?
Well, next week, 99-cent rental, we are checking out Abel Ferrara's most commercially viable
I'd say
film, King of New York, and Bring Me the Axe, going to return 2 weeks with one of my recently rediscovered favorites, a movie that betrays itself in the most egregious way possible, and I will never get over it, Night of the Comet.
This is going to be interesting because this is a movie that people are passionate about. It is a bona fide cult movie. I have no real strong feelings about this movie.
No, you will. Real soon. Tell you all about it.
All right. So be back here in a week for King of New York, and be back in 2 for Night of the Comet. It's going to be great.